So, geez, which one would you take out on a date? That's for you to answer. Which one would you take out on a date? Because all three of them, who is it? Sister Pauline Reed says she will be donating. Thank you very much, Sister Pauline. I too will be donating as well. Okay. None of them. You lot are rough, man. What do you mean none of them? You two. Which one of them would you take out on a date? That's a simple question. You know, which one? Brothers and sisters, tonight starts the fight back. Tony Sewage done a UK report that there is no, can you imagine, no structural, institutional racism going on in the UK. What we've been experiencing has just been our minds. We just kind of just mix up and mash up. All of us, in all of Black England, just mix up and mash up. We ain't got a clue about racism. So he's now becoming that apologist. But tonight, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about race. We're going to talk about class. We're going to talk about opportunities. And it ain't going to be about no crying night, brothers and sisters. We're going to deal with the problems, but also, more importantly, when you come to this platform, you know you're leaving with a new mind. You're inspired for the rest of the week. So, brothers and sisters, I want to introduce, in fact, I want to introduce this family.
You're so funny.
Look, family. What? Easy, little boy, easy, little boy, easy. Brothers and sisters, there is light at the end of the tunnel, man. I want to touch on this family, man. They came onto the show a few weeks ago, and you lot went doolally. Sister Sabrina, are you with us, my queen?
Yes, I am. I didn't know our dancing was going to be there. That's hilarious.
Brothers and sisters, this is Sabrina Ben Salmi, BSc. She's the director of Aqua Blue Games, founder of the Ben Salmi award-winning author, co-founder, director of Harris Invictus Academy, and the proprietor of Dreaming Big Together. She's a publisher, professional connector, transformational personal development, business consultant, founder of the Mobile Singing Parents Project. Oh, I don't know what that is about. Dreaming Big Together, Mama's Secret Recipe, and Shift Happens. Sister Sabrina, welcome yet again to the Hidden Truth platform. How are you, my queen?
I am very well. All much more better being here in this space. You have such a remarkable platform, team, guest speakers, attendees. I always have so much fun here. Thank you for having us back. And thank you, just since we've connected up, you're just so loving, caring, giving, supportive. And I just want to thank you for everything you're doing within our community.
The check's in the post, sister. So yeah.
No, there's none of that. That's just true. You don't have to pay me for anything like that. Let me tell you, you're someone that stands out in the community. And I really thank you. What you're doing is amazing.
Fantastic, my queen. Sister, please, tell, for those who missed the first show that you was on, sister, in a nutshell, my queen, because you're going to be coming on now, but I'm going to bring you on a bit later as well. Just let us know a little bit about your path and who you are today for us in the community.
Absolutely. So just in a nutshell, so my journey started, my father is Nigerian and my mother's St. Lucian. I was born in the 1980s. The reason why that's important, that was when the whole African Caribbean divide was there. So I grew up with a lot of identity issues because I was rejected since birth, too Black for the West Indians, too Westernized for the Africans, and their coming together was not blessed at all. My father was threatened to be sent back to Nigeria and they had to end their relationship. So I grew up with all of these internal issues, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, confidence, lack of self-worth, you name it, I had it. And I went looking for it in all the wrong places. So fast forward, when I became a mother, I wanted their lives to be something greater than me. I didn't want to fail my children. I realized that there was something outside of my understanding that I wasn't aware of as to why I survived, you know, near-death experiences.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, I went on a very deep quest of self-discovery, healing, and was able to break down some bloodline behavior patterns. We all have them. And sometimes they hold us back, sometimes they propel us forward. But I had some that I had to let go, and there was some that I had to learn, and that enabled me to empower my children. So just very quickly, all 5 of them are on today. Mum's here as well. So
Wow.
Amir became the youngest ever STEM ambassador of Brunel University at the age of 6.
What?
Paolo's planted 10,000 trees out in Tanzania to empower that community. We don't own the land. It's buying it back, giving it back to the locals so they can sustain themselves and feed themselves.
Wow.
Yasmin is all about the quest of choices and healing. Paolo, Trey Sean is all about financial education, and Lachey is all about deeply profound centering and guidance and seeing life in a different perspective. So the journey is just really to inspire families to dream big together. We have to recognize that we have a baton to hand down to the next generation. Us elders need to take more responsibility, so then the younger generation don't have too much cleaning up to do.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, I warned you tonight is going to get crazy. I warned you tonight is going to get crazy. Sabrina, oh my goodness. Sis, what, you know, was it easy having the 5 children, black children is it East London, sister?
Yeah, I grew up in East London. Yeah, they were raised in Redbridge, so Ilford area. It wasn't easy. I heard lots of things in education, you know, what happens to boys smart you know, they go into school smart, they get all of this turbulence. It's funny because when it turned on my son, we were prepared, very much prepared, very grounded, very spiritual.
Turned on your son? Explain. What do you mean turned on?
In school, it's quite interesting. So he was very quiet, very shy, very withdrawn. Top of the class, always been on gifted and talented lists. But then I got called in saying that he was disruptive. And I was like, how does that add up? He's quiet, top of the class, but then he's disruptive. And there was no evidence, just he seemed aggressive, he seemed disruptive, I was like, but that's 2 different situations that you're demonstrating for me. Here you have a boy who's very quiet, top of the class, but then he seems aggressive. So then it was like he wasn't boisterous enough, and they were giving me all these strange things. And it was quite evident that there was something clearly going on within the educational system. And it was quite evident that I had to be very much on the ball and aware of how my children were being educated. So it turned into a state of having to defrag them when they came home every day. I had to do all kinds of processes, and that's not healthy. Why on earth are we sending our children into environments and having to do so much work coming back? But lo and behold, we learned a lot through the journey. We learned so much. Schools do a report. So I'm an advocate for parents. So I would support single parents families in the area. And one of the things that was alarming, that every single Friday was allocated for referrals to social services. And that astounded me. You know, if something shows up, yes, you refer, but to have a day allocated, what are you seeking? What are you searching for? So there was a lot of false claims that were submitted. I would support parents. And it was a big eye opener that when the village is too busy, many things happen to our young ones.
Wow. Sister. Oh, you're on silence, sis.
I didn't want to talk over you.
No. You keep it on, sis. And your children, your children are there with you now, yeah?
They are, yeah. Lachey.
Don't bring them on yet, because that's the cherry on the cake for later. So let them know they will be coming on, but we wanted to hear from Mummy first. So, sister, I mean, we're talking about this school system being designed to fail our black boys. That's what someone has just stated, Lady Wisdom, who works in education, okay? Now, that's a very tough statement. Now, Sister Jurita, obviously, you know, you wear many hats, Sister Jurita, and you work in the top echelon in many schools, sister. You've worked in so many different schools. You're part of the leadership team. What would you say about the condition of black boys and girls in the schools right now, from someone who's in the system?
Wow. Well, what can I say? I am vice principal of a high school and have been for the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, black students overall are not getting the best education that they can do. There isn't enough role models. There isn't enough black curriculum. You know, a lot of what they learn is not really about themselves. There's big issues, and I guess that's why you know, a few years ago I started to try and put together details for my own, or a plan, I guess, for my own free school, and I've gone through to the New Schools Network to try and get that open. Obviously it's now on pause because of all of this corona stuff, but anyway, you know, we have to start to get our own schools, and that is the only way forward, I guess. Saying that though, data, and you know, the government will say actually on paper black students aren't doing as badly as others, and actually in terms of what the data says, it's white boys who are doing the worst. But I kind of put that down to really cultural aspirations and other things. And I just think as black people, once within our community, we really push for meritocracy, and we really push for people to do their best within education. But at the same time, I don't think that the curriculum is supporting people like us, and therefore we have to push to do it ourselves. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Brothers and sisters, you're hearing it from Jarita. See, she's not just a pretty face. She's not just someone who's just typing. This sister is phenomenal. And Sister Jarita doesn't play. I mean, she gets in, as I say, she's not just and I'm not just saying just let me rephrase that. She works in the top echelons in the schools, okay, like deputy head, senior leadership, and what have you, okay? And, you know, when we talk about someone who's looking at it from within the system, and, you know, you've heard what she says, and she doesn't just say it because as soon as she gets into a new school, I get the phone call, Brother Andrew, can you come and work with some of my boys, some of my girls? Can you come and work with the whole school? You know, she doesn't play with that, okay? She really does. You know, some of us talk that kind of stuff, but then when we go back into the system, we want to be hidden. Sister Jarita ain't about hiding. She believes in justice for all children, regardless of class, age, or color, but she understands the dynamics that apply to us, especially. And so, Sister Sabrina, I will come back to you very soon, sister. We will come back to you. Sister, oh my God, Sister Cheryl. Come with us now, Sister Cheryl, because tonight is on fire. Tonight is gonna be fire. Wow. Sister, can you unmute yourself, my queen? By the way, brothers and sisters, Sister Cheryl is coming to us all the way from the motherland, all the way from the mother Africa. How are you doing, my queen?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Oh, we are in a good place now that we can see. We're in a very good place. Noise in the background, sister, or is it my side? No, it must be.
You can hear everyone in the background.
Yeah. It's a bit loud for us.
Oh, you guys, they're saying that you're loud in the UK.
Shall we come back to you? Shall we come back to you?
It's only the chief of the local area and some of his people here as well. So,
oh, wow, the chief.
I just had to send him to. Yeah, he's there. Do you want to say hi quickly?
Yes, please.
Hold on, let me see if I can change the screen.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Brother Andrew Mohammed in the UK.
How are you doing, my chief? Good to see you,
you
sir.
Hear him? He said, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
how are you and UK?
We are good, brother. We're trying to be a reflection of you, sir. We love you, my king. All the way over in the UK, America, Canada. We bow to you, sir. Thank you. You got one.
All right, that's good.
You got one of our queens with you.
I love you guys as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything is moving on smoothly over there. We're working hard, my king. We want to come back and support our motherland. We want to come back and support our children.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're very grateful.
We will be coming.
Yeah, Sharon has already started something here, and it's helping the community a lot. We expect you people to come down and help as well.
Wow, we're coming over, sir. Make sure you got my dinner ready for me. Make sure you got my little apartment waiting for me, brother. I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
All right. Waiting for you.
Yes, sir.
Have a very good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Sister Cheryl,
all right, let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll, but we're only touching you right now because we're bringing you straight back on after as well. But please, sister, what is happening in Ghana right now for you? Is there anything you want to share with us before we bring you on for your main talk, which is about education and our youth? What's happening in Africa right now for us?
Well, for me, I'm here mostly, obviously, as you know, I do the Black Child Agenda in the UK. So for me, it's a firefighting exercise, completely firefighting. So with that, firefighting constantly with the system that has been designed for us to fail doesn't make any sense. So I, with my sons, came out here on, I've just kicked them out. So I, with my sons, came out here in January and said, well, what's the point in fighting with these people to beg them to treat our children well, to beg them to go to their schools, to beg them for all of these things, like later, how about we do for self? We keep talking about doing for self, for us, by us, let's do it. And I know that these guys aren't gonna let us do anything in the UK without some sort of accusation, some sort of problem. There's always something when we try and do something. So I then came here and started the African Child Agenda, which you can see behind me.
Wow.
And I've got now an NGO. So the plan for me is to open up an international school for us, by us, with a Pan-African curriculum, mindset, and everything else around it. Because like I said, I'm tired of fighting with the system.
Sister, no, you can't. Sister, say it one more time for the people at the back. We got nearly 500 on the platform. Many at the back never heard what you just said. Say that again one more time. What are you doing out there?
Opening an international school for our children. Because it's like, why are you fighting with Europe? Why are we fighting with them for what's not ours? The system in the UK is working perfectly. It's working as it's been designed. It was never designed for me. It was never designed for my children. And it wasn't designed for none of us. So keep your schools, keep your racism, keep your overt and covert discrimination. Take it, keep our light, me no want it. Let me come which part me there and build where people want us, where we're welcomed with open arms, where the community is here for us, by us. And that's what our children need to see. Our children need to wake up in the morning and feel love. Our children need to wake up in the morning and understand that if your car broke down or you slip over, everybody is trying to help you to make sure that you're back on the road. Did you see what I showed you earlier when I was sitting outside? I just bought the community a whole load of balls. Let me quickly spin round.
Come on.
So that's just for the kids here, because they don't have a lot. So it's like, what's a couple of footballs?
Yes.
There was about 6 people helping to blow up these balls. There's only 24 balls. But that's the difference in here and being at home. And that's what our children need to grow up to recognize, that we as a community, this is how we are. The violence and aggression we see on the streets is not us. That's been conditioned into us, because when we're in their system, we're told that we're no good. We're told that we're ugly. We're told that we'll never amount to nothing. But here, and with our own Pan-African school, I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care if you're Pan-African, I don't give a damn what you are. What we need to do is make sure we're training the next generation to have a global mindset and to take on the Chinese, the Italians, the Lebanese, and everybody else. And we can't do that fighting for a school place. We can't do that fighting for a school place in England. So unless we, as a people and as parents, say enough is enough, let me do something different, We're always going to be fighting that battle. And I'm tired of fighting with the education system, tired of fighting with racist teachers. I've been doing this for, 13 years now. Why do I need to keep doing it? Why do we need to keep putting our children in this environment? Oh, hell no. No.
Sister, hold on there. I told you, remember, you're coming back home, beloved. That was, brothers and sisters, that was just a taster. Can you imagine having someone like this on your side? Can you imagine linking this sister with Sabrina with Jarita? And I mean, beloved, if we really understood how powerful we are, we don't need 1 million of us. We just need a few of us. And what you're seeing there are sisters of quality and of power. Oh my God, brother. I told you, when you come onto this platform, yes, we deal with some sticky issues, man, but you're leaving it inspired. So Cheryl, please don't go nowhere, sister. That was just a taste. We are definitely bringing you on, beloved. So don't go nowhere, sister. Brothers and sisters, what a night. And don't
okay, I'm here.
Don't, brothers, tonight is going to be smelly. You know what I said? Tonight is going to stink up your house tonight. So you get ready for that. So brothers and sisters, as I said before, we still haven't seen these children come on yet. We had Big Mama come on just now. Yeah, we got the cubs in the background waiting. She's got an army behind her, brothers and sisters. Tonight is gonna be smelly. I feel so good about tonight. It's gonna don't ram it. But brothers and sisters, let's move on. Jeez, brothers and sisters, we have with us tonight Sister Kirsty. As you know, brothers and sisters, Brother Andrew Mohammed, apart from doing this show, I run an academy for black boys and black girls. We link up with Sister Cheryl already. So don't worry about it. We know not everyone's going to go to Africa necessarily. So we build there, we link with Africa, and we combine it all together. That's what the Jews do. That's what the Jewish community do, brothers and sisters. Yeah, not every Jew goes back to Israel, but yet they have their power around the world. We need a network of serious brothers and sisters that can feed back to the motherland too. You understand? So we have the West Side Young Leaders Academy. One of our directors is Lady Kirsty. And let's just touch base with Lady Kirsty 1 second, okay? Because not only is she a director of the academy that I run with David and Mark, it's the 4 of us that run as directors, yeah? Lady Kirsty is one of the directors, and she came in and she wasn't playing, brothers and sisters. She came and revolutionized the program, Lady Kirsty. And so the Boys Academy, we've been in operation for 9 years. And these are some of our boys in action.
Company, stand at ease. Affirmation, begin.
I choose this moment, this hour, this day, to focus on the task ahead. I am thankful for all my gifts and all my opportunities.
I acknowledge the depth of my soul and endless possibilities through belief. I am light in the dark. I am vision. I am hope. I am prepared. I am peace.
So that's some of our boys, man. You know what I mean? We've been working hard with our boys for 9 years, underground. We didn't promote it too much. We stayed underground in the black community. Many people didn't know about us, but we were building soldier men. We focused on our brothers because we knew, as Sister Sabrina was saying, that the attack was on the black boys, especially at one stage. And so we knew that we had to make a man so our sisters can say, you know what? There's a black man in the community. And we had to start early. But guess what?
Company.
Guess what? When Kirsty came in, her mission, she said, yes, we need the black man, but what about our sisters? We knew from day one we set up our academy, we wanted the black sister to join this academy, and we wanted to raise female leaders. But we were blessed by having Lady Sister Kirsty, and as you know, Lady Adele. Oh my God. When all of you know about Lady Adele already. She's got a bona fide nutter fan club on this. I call them let me just behave myself right now. So all of you know about Lady Adele, but you're going to meet a partner in terms of the work that she does with the West Side Young League. So when we set up the academy, the first term for girls was for them to have to build 2 areas. One was we wanted our girls, they had to learn about self-confidence and self-reassurance. So Lady Adele and Kirsty, they worked on the girl program. Hey! What happened? Oh, yeah, I saw that, you troublemaker. See, so Lady Adele and Sister Kirsty created a whole program building self-confidence for Black girls. That's why they had the blindfolds on, is about building up confidence and trust in what, depending on another sister. They had fantastic, and then the second area, the first term, we had to build self-care and self-love. And we had to make sure the Black woman understands that you are the standard of beauty in the universe. And so they put it on them, brothers and sisters. We had to teach them about looking in that mirror and loving that reflection.
And deserve to be better. I have what it takes to become greater. I accept the strong, resilient person I am. I know what I want and I will go for it. I am caring, I am beautiful, I am smart, I am a queen.
Oh! Come on. So brothers and sisters, we have with you tonight Lady Kirsty. Kirsty, are you with us? Please, let us see your shining face, beloved. Let us see your beautiful countenance. Lady Kirsty, W-Y-L-A. I hope she's, after all of that build-up, don't tell me she's not there. Lord, Sabrina, behave yourself. You're not helping me here, man. You're not even there. Lady Kirsty, are you with us? Oh, God, gosh. Lord, gosh. After that big up. All right. Oh, here she is. I think she's coming. Don't give up. Oh, there she is.
Sorry. I'm just dealing with a family emergency, so if I have to quickly shoot off again,
don't worry.
I'm so sorry, brother.
We apologize. We hope that everything's okay. Lady Kirsty, we thank you so much, sister. Lady Kirsty, many people don't appreciate you are a trained and qualified barrister. I'm going to say that one more time, brothers and sisters. If you're listening to me, we've got nearly 500 on the platform, sister. Yeah, this sister that's working with us, trained and qualified barrister, and decided to say, you know what? I want to put my life and my servitude in building the next generation. So she could have gone for money, but she went with her heart. Lady Kirsty, how are you doing, sister?
Not bad, very good. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I see you got 461 in this evening.
Yeah, it's still growing, sis. We've got a lot more still coming down. Don't you worry about that, my queen.
Brilliant.
Praise God. And Lady Kirsty, you know, you're one of the directors of the West Side Young Leaders Academy, sister.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about the sisters first. You know, what's your vision? What's your vision for Black women for the next generation? What do you want to create?
I want to create, for our academy anyway, young women who come out of our academy who are confident, empowered, and have a lot of self-belief. They believe in their abilities. They believe in whatever draws them in faith. They believe in whatever draws them in power. And they use that belief to achieve whatever it is that they believe they want to do in this life. Yeah. So it's not about channeling them to one route. It's not about channeling them to another, but about showing them whatever it is that they have inside them, that spark is going to take them, and they need to follow that spark, and we can develop that within them at our academy, allow them to draw that out, to define it, to make it grow, to empower it, and allow them to go out into this world and just, you know, knock every man off the peg in the CEO rooms. That's what I want.
What's this? With Tony Sewell's report that there is no structural racism, as someone who's worked in the system, and please share a little about what happened to you at school in terms of when you told your teacher that you wanted to be a lawyer or a barrister, and how did that schooling system? Oh, God, brother, what's the? I know everyone wants to know the name of your son now. What's the name of your
Kyron? Sorry, he should be in bed, but he sneaked out. Say hello. Hello. Okay.
Oh, fantastic. So, sister, when it comes to structural racism, no, there's no racism, no structural racism in education. Can you just share with us what was your experience when you had high ambitions in your school?
So I went to a school that was probably considered one of the worst schools in my area. So already people had this idea that because I came from this school, I wasn't going to be able to achieve much educationally and even socially and academically. So I told a careers advisor, who actually herself was a Black woman, that I wanted to be a barrister. And she told me that I should have a plan B, because for me as a woman with colour on my skin, there was no way I was going to make it in a field that, you know, was predominantly white middle-class men. So I said to her, well, I don't think I need a plan B. My plan B is going to be my plan A. And even up to the point where I was at university, I was told that I wouldn't make it. So there's definitely a lot of pressure on, there's a lot of people that will tell our young people that they're not going to make it. Even to today, when I speak to young people about my experience, they say they share the same thing. You have the same experience? Not yet. Hopefully never. So, you know, it was interesting and an eye-opener for me. But when I was at school, so we didn't have the internet, I had to go to the library, and I learned about a lady who is now Baroness Scotland. And she was the first Black woman to become a QC. And she was actually from Walthamstow. And I'm from Leytonstone. So I took real inspiration from her. And this is where, you know, we say our young people become what they see. So they will achieve what they can see. And that's why for me it was really important to get into, to work with young people, to let them know that they can achieve anything they want, because I don't sound posh. I don't pretend to be posh. I'm from a working class background, and this is what I want to encourage our young leaders to understand, that it doesn't matter where you're from, what difficulties you may have, you can make it. I'm not highly educated. I didn't get A stars, but I worked hard to be able to qualify. And that's the difference. I didn't have to worry about getting the A stars. I didn't even get a first in my degree, but I was still able to make it because I had that self-belief. And that is why it's so important to me that we develop in our young ladies that self-belief.
Wow. So Kirsty, before we move on, Kirsty, I mean, the comments coming in, I'm seeing are fantastic. They're just loving, and they're all talking about your beautiful son.
My mascot.
Okay. But Sister Kirsty, in working, when we established the Young Girls Academy, which came in about 8-9 years after the Boys Academy, how did you find working with those young girls for the first? I know we only opened it last year, but how's been your experience so far?
Well, I think for me, I work with three brothers on the directors team, and I feel like actually they put off, because I spoke to you brothers about starting a girls' academy for a number of years. I thought we need to do it. And when the girls came in that first month and we started taking over everything, drill, we got it. the lessons, we got it. The girls were shining. I started to realize actually these brothers were holding back because they knew what was going to happen. So that's what it was like. But I felt like actually bringing the boys and girls together, a balance started to emerge. The brothers were like, oh, hang on a second, we can't sleep because these girls have come in and they're showing us up now. So the boys, the standards in the boys were being raised whilst the girls were, you know, showing their excellence. But there's still a lot of work to be done. The difference between boys and girls, the girls have a lot of self-confidence and self-esteem to build. So I'm just gonna pop him back upstairs.
We're gonna come back to you, okay, sis?
Yeah, he's trying to serenade you all now.
Well, in the meantime, brothers and sisters, let's have a look at the meantime, because you see, brothers and sisters, tonight's about education. Tonight is about what can be achieved, okay, brothers and sisters. And you know, it's we want to inspire you tonight. Yeah, in Africa, with what Sister Cheryl's doing, in the UK, what we're doing, it's all about love, brothers and sisters. So one of the things that we Sister Kirsty's been speaking about, we need a new generation of young leaders. Yeah, and we got to teach them about the traits. What does it mean to be a leader? This is one of our head girls. This is when she was a bit younger. One of our head girls talking about the traits of leadership.
Hi, my name is Destiny, and these are the traits I've decided to throw a light on. Courage. The ability to do something that frightens one. Courage to be how Harriet Tubman led hundreds of slaves through underground railroads and freed them. Or how Martin Luther King had a dream to work together and stand up for freedom. Or is it how you developed the courage to perform that presentation you knew you would do well in, but was being tyrannized ruthlessly by something that lived within called fear? Fear. Scared of falling into peer pressure, because if you do, you'll be a weirdo, a snake, an op, annoying, a buzzkill. However, you stopped and said no, because you knew that would set you back, meaning you cannot grow from the seed into the beautiful flower you were meant to be. Because when you're out there making a living and they're in a prison, you understand that fear is a reaction, but courage is a decision. Decisiveness, the ability to make decisions quickly.
Oh, so we can carry on, brothers and sisters. So we know that our children must be the best, must be.
Hi, my name is
okay? And our girls are not being left behind. As I said, Lady Kirsty and Lady Adele are working. So it's not only our boys doing that drill.
Mark time. March.
Confidence.
Move.
C O N F I D E N C E. Confidence.
So we know they're not playing, brothers and sisters. We've got to now start creating an army of sisters who are now moving, who are now absolutely moving. And Lady Kirsty here is the head of our Girls Academy, working with Lady Adele, and we're producing an army. You got to understand, brothers and sisters, this ain't no plaything. Yeah, we are taking this serious. Yes, Sabrina said, why should we wait? We need to take this responsibility for ourselves. These are our children. And so now underground, brothers and sisters, we're letting you know, don't give up on your education. Don't give up. We're going to be moving, yeah? And we're not pointing at the finger at Tony Sewage, even though we totally disagree with him. But at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, we're creating an army of our own, And so, Sister Kirsty, just a few more moments with you, sis, before we move on. We are making that stance. So, Lady Kirsty, what do you think, as parents in the community, in the Black community, what should we be doing more, and why should they be bringing their children to people like yourself?
So I definitely think, you know, if it's not WYLA, make it WYLA first. Then it should be another supplementary school that is providing exactly that. supplementary education. One of the things that Brother Andrew always says in his presentations is that a child only educated at school is an uneducated one. And that's what we truly believe. We provide that holistic education that they're not going to get in school. We survey our parents and our children every half term, and one of the questions we ask them is, would you have learned what you've learned this term in school? In every single survey that we've had over the last year, for every half term, over 95% of our children have said they would not have learned this at school. Wow. So we are providing that supplementary education. They're not finding out about their real history in school. They're not finding out how to be confident young people in school. They're not encouraged to sort of bring out their talents. They're always told to be quiet, to, you know, sit down. We have so much fun. Our education is fun as well. And these young people, sometimes if you bring your young person for the first time, you might feel like you have to drag them there. But the second time, they're running there. So they feel, you know, a lot of our young people say, yeah, I thought it was going to be a punishment, but actually I love it. And they want to come before their parents. So the parents are waking up on a Saturday, oh, I had a late night, but their children are up, they're up and ready. So, you know, we're really, another thing that we create as well is that community feel. So I had a mum call me today because she wants to start her son at our academy because he's mixed race and he has no contact with his family of Black heritage. So now when we open our arms to this young man, he now has a family that he can identify with his cultural heritage. And this is what we're providing. So I think it's really important as parents that we're providing that wraparound education, the stuff that they're not going to be built, they're not going to get from school, that they're not going to get from the youth centre. Because remember, we're not a youth centre. Remember, we are an educational centre. Whether it's fun or not, we are providing an education that's long lasting. And you'll see this when we do events and we bring in our alumni, they will always tell you how much we've had an impact. So we plant the seeds today and later on we see these beautiful gardens that we have been able to reap. I would also say, in addition to not only, I just want to make this point as well. So I'm jumping in on something here.
You're beautiful, sister. You're beautiful.
But not only should you bring your child to a supplementary school such as Weiler, I mean, there are others. If you live in outside of London, find them. NABS, the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, there's a list on there. Find them. But if, you know, travel to West Side because we are the place. I would also recommend that parents become governors of their schools. If you can't take your child out of the school, have an impact in the school that your child is in by joining your governing body and start putting pressure in the governing body on the head teacher to change things within the school. So for example, I'm a parent governor of my son's school. Well, actually, my son has left now because thanks to West Side Young Leaders Academy and East Side Young Leaders Academy, I was able to apply for my son for a full scholarship into a private school, and he's now received that scholarship. So this is another thing that we offer. We offer scholarships into private education. It's not about, you know, we don't want to keep our young people in the system, but if we know that we have that wraparound support, we can develop them to be culturally confident young people to go into these establishments, okay? So we also offer that as part of our package, that chance to apply for scholarships. So anyway, go back a step. So I'm a parent governor at my son's old school now, because thanks to West Side and East Side, I've been able to get this scholarship. However, I made sure that I aligned myself. I became a link governor to attendance, behaviour and exclusion, because I know what is going on with exclusions. And I had a conversation with the head teacher and I said to him, you know what, I've worked in a school, a PRU, where, Lady Adele will know where this comes from. I work in a PRU where they have not made any exclusions because they feel that inclusion and not exclusion is the main element here. So I said to the head teacher, how can we say we're an inclusive school if we're excluding our pupils? the two don't make no sense. So we changed to a policy of inclusion, and since then we've had 0 exclusions.
Wow.
For the past year. And this is the kind of change you can have. Now the school, because they've taken this stance, the school now has to find ways to keep our young people in.
What?
So we have to get in these places. So I would really urge parents, these two things: become a governor. You can be co-opted, or you can become a parent governor, and also join your young person up to a supplementary school.
Wow. Sister, so before you go, my queen, because this is so awesome, we're loving it. I'm just seeing you, the chat room is on fire because of you, sister. Again, we've got the best panelists here tonight. Sister, with the facilities of Westside, I understand coming very soon. This Saturday, I understand that you're moving into new premises. Can you tell us a little bit about that, sister?
We're really excited to be now moving, because we were at Capital City Academy, but we are now going to be based at Newham Catholic College, which is just around the corner from Capital City. But now we have so much more facilities. We have access to IT suites. We have access to their home ec department. We have access to a gym. We have access to outdoor space, the football pitch. So this is just igniting all of us, all the plans, all the things that we can do with our young people to provide an even better service. So we're really, really excited about, that's the gym where our young leaders are going to be doing drill. So now they can see themselves, they can check themselves when they're doing drill, making sure they're in formation. So this is where we're going to be. So we're really, really excited, because this opens up a whole host of things that we can be doing with our young people.
Fantastic. Sister Kirsty, we thank you. Your very last question, sister. We know you got your sons and everything waiting for you. Your very last question. What is it like working with Lady Adele on this path?
I am honoured and privileged. I learned so much from Sister Adele, and for me it's just a huge learning curve. She provides that overarching eye over everything. We say, oh yeah, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and Sister Adele is like, don't forget about A, B, and C. And it's like, we didn't even think about this. She's like, you know, that eagle that has that vision for us, and she has so much drive and passion and knowledge. You know, she's head teacher of an executive head teacher, and the stance that she brings, the level of knowledge and experience that she gives us, really holds us to task in everything we do, just sort of structurally. And she's always putting our young people first. So sometimes when we're bogged down in the you know, the policies, she always reminds us the young people first. And it has been an absolutely amazing experience working with Adele. And I never feel worthy underneath or standing next to her, because she's just so brilliant.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Sister Kirsty. And we want you definitely back on the show again, sister. You know,
definitely.
It's just the way the spirit and how you speak, and your heart resonates with every one of us. Okay, sister. So once again, we thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, Sister Kirsty, director of the Westside Young Leaders Academy, on this same path with us all. And we're moving into new premises this coming Saturday. So we're growing now. I will let you know, don't feel down all the time. This is what we got with you. This is what we got tonight, brothers and sisters. And, oh my gosh, this is the brother. Oh, what a night we got, brothers. This is the brother. Oh, wow. Dr. Mark Richards. Oh, brothers and sisters, as you said, atmospheric physicist at the Imperial College London. Can you imagine this, brothers and sisters? Dr. Mark, are you with us, man? You've been so patient. You were literally at 6 o'clock, and it's now 2 hours later. But I had to hold you back, brother. I had to hold you back because, you know, we're gonna deal with look at our brother. Brother, why are you so smooth? You're meant to be a damn scientist, and look, you just come like you just like watch me, go on, yeah. I've never seen a scientist like you, brother. Jeez. Eureka's fixing her hair now, man. Jeez, come on now. Jeez, my God. Brothers and sisters, we have with us one of the top physicists in the country, Dr. Mark Richards, okay, physics from Imperial College. If you know about Imperial College, if you don't know, quickly Google it, brothers and sisters. You'll find it's literally one of the top, if not the top in the UK, and one of the top around the world. His research centered on spectroscopic study of nitric and vapor, atmospheric remote. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now. Yeah, that's the kind of areas the brothers are dealing with, okay, brothers and sisters. He's also a member of Imperial as one, the university's race equality advisory group, and has been involved in numerous widening participation and outreach programs that are aimed to encourage more students from diverse backgrounds to pursue science and engineering as a choice of their career. Yeah, so Mark is one of the greatest ones, and believe it or not, he became a physicist based on being a DJ. He was known as DJ Kemet. Yeah, and he realized that by mixing sound waves, that's what music is. That's what a DJ does. By mixing sound waves, you can also mix light. You can also mix chemical. I mean, this brother is just immense. So, brothers and sisters, this brother here, tonight's show is really based on this brother. We had a conversation, and because of this brother's position in society, he gets information that we don't really see. And I'm asking this brother tonight to really reveal to us on the Hidden Truth platform, brother, the reality behind education for our youth and our graduates and what have you, okay, brother? I hand over to you, brother. How are you doing, King?
First of all, greetings, brother Andrew. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I mean, I'm blessed to be here. I mean, I can only reiterate what many have said about you in the community, Andrew, and what you're doing for the community. And in fact, you probably don't remember the first time I probably met you, which was probably, I don't want to say how many years ago, but let's just say I was a DJ on Unique FM. Wow. And you had a show, I think it was in the evenings, The Investigator. And I said, who is this brother? And I met you one time when you know, Mikey Coos used to have those meetings in Harlesden. And so that was actually the first time. So again, even though, right, and years later we linked through education. So again, I'm another one of those holistic types of people who think, well, you know, the brain has a logical side and a creative side. So why are you going to put one aside if you want to do science? If you like music and science, you can do both. And again, one of my inspirations actually was from about 4,500 years ago, which is Imhotep. All right. So of course he was one of the, you know, he was actually the first documented engineer. And that's according to Encyclopedia Britannica. He was also a high priest, an astronomer, a physician, a musician. And so when you start reading about brothers like this, and he was from the southern part of Egypt called Nubia. That's right, he was a Nubian. So no, it's not no sort of North African sort of. He was a Nubian. So when you read about brothers like that, you realize whatever you're doing right now in this time is just part of our journey. You know, we can see. I'm going to stop you, Bob. I'm going to stop you. Many places. 500 people on the platform. You're listening to one of the top, not just black, one of the top physicists in the UK, breaking down African history. Jeez, teach on, brother. Carry on. Okay, so I mean, how long have I got? I've got a few slides which I don't mind.
Brother, backside man, licking shot. You got me like a DJ now, King. Stop it, man, because you got me. Like I said, brother, when I get excited, you're gonna see me just take off my boxer shorts straight on the screen, brethren. So stop the noise. Share your screen, man. Chat.
Right. Let's see if I can find.
I'm gonna behave myself because Sabrina's online, so I'm gonna remember I'm a gentleman. So I'm gonna try to hold it down. But don't be surprised if you see my boxer shorts flashing, brother. I'm getting excited now. I'm getting really excited.
Let me just see if is it this one?
Yeah, come on, brother. Yeah. Lick shot from Babylon.
There we go. The Black Files. Now, you notice this backdrop. We're in a lecture theatre. Because I'm afraid we're going to have to go back to school just for this, because we got to study ourselves for once. I mean, we think that we go to school in a passive kind of way to get whatever they're telling us. Well, we're supposed to, if education is done right, and it's not always just through school, but we should be receiving knowledge that allows you to study anything you want to study. That was the greatest thing that I learned when I got my PhD. I realized it wasn't about the actual subject matter. All it did, it taught me how to research whatever you want to research. And that is the most powerful tool. It's about, like give a man a fish, they'll have food for a day. Teach them how to fish, they'll have food for a lifetime. And what is it when people go and, and do degrees? One of the key things that most institutions will tell you, by the time you finish your degree, we want you to develop what they call your independent learning skills. Well, you don't necessarily have to wait all that time to develop those. Those can be developed from a child. You can start your independent learning from a child. You can start asking questions, learning how to investigate it yourself. Don't ask questions and just wait for the teacher. Actually, investigate it yourself, find out how. And that's pretty much like how a scientist is. So this talk is called The Black Files. And I suppose I'm calling it The Black Files because this is a talk I would say this talk is geared towards the Black community. This is a message to the Black community. We know there are issues in education and so on, and often we can start to look at different institutions and look to the governments and all these different bodies to say, how are you going to help us? But the reality is, like Garvey says, you've got to do for self often. So this is the Black File. So the first thing, if we're going to try and help to understand and address the problems, we've got to try and understand what the problem is. Yes, we can get this feeling that things are bad, but how bad? How do we actually get to, and this is where science is extremely important, because you can start to quantify how bad or how good, or if not at all. And that's why I'm very keen on data. Before I dive into this talk, I will just say one quick story, which I was reminded of, just to give you a sense of what I was like as a child. So I grew up in essentially a single parent household. My dad, they split up when I was young. And obviously as a single parent, my mum had 4 children at the time. I was the youngest one at the time, and she used to carry me around to the supermarket. And this was back in the 70s and 80s. And 70s mainly. And I used to, because the budget was low, I used to like numbers. I used to like adding up the shopping, along the way. So along the way, she'd say, oh, how much? And then she'd say, oh, let me know when it gets to £10 or whatever it is. And so there was one particular time where and those time, it wasn't just a beep, beep, the woman has to, or the cashier has to ring the numbers into the till. So, and then you just have to wait. It's like, it's like a gamble. You just got to wait to see what the figure is. And when you're on a low budget, that can be very, very serious, because the biggest embarrassment is when you got to put things back. So that's why she relied on me to, add up the numbers. And then one particular time, the cashier rang it in and it came over the amount, but I was sure I'd added it up right. So much so that I started making a little fuss about it, let's say. And then when she started to put the biscuits back, I said, no, enough is enough. And I'm making a fuss. So much so that they eventually called the manager and they had to ring all the things back through again. And I was right. And it taught me a valuable lesson. And it taught my mom a valuable lesson at the same time, that, often if we don't check our, we were potentially being shortchanged. And I was just ringing the signal. I was just young, ringing the signal, you're being shortchanged. And if you think about it, we can get a feeling we're being shortchanged, but how do you really know you're being shortchanged if you don't know how much it's supposed to add up to in the first place? And again, how do you know you're being shortchanged if you then don't check your change? And this happens time and time again. So what I find myself today is, and with this conversation with Brother Andrew, in many ways, I feel myself in the same kind of situation but this time it's not on behalf of my late mother, God rest her soul, she's now with the ancestors, but on behalf of the community. We're being shortchanged with education. We are being shortchanged. And so what I'm trying to do at the moment, we're going to try and help to do a little bit of that accounting to say, well, by how much? So let's dive in. And I should say, most of this work, I also sit on the diversity committee of the Royal Society. And they basically are one of the top learned societies that deal with all the science societies. So this is government data that we're using, just the same data as quote unquote, the sewage report also had access to. So this is not anything that is done behind closed doors, it's government data.
Come on, brother, teach.
So the first thing is, I would say that this data is about STEM, because I'm a physicist, STEM means science, technology, engineering, maths, medicine, etc. You know, the technical subjects. And the question is, why STEM? You know, why not just anything? Why don't we just do anything? What is important? I've given 3 reasons here: innovation, wealth creation, and Marcus Garvey. And let's just have a look. Let's just dive in and see what it means. Well, STEM is at the heart of innovation. Innovation, when you innovate something, you create demand because you've created something new, and then people want your products, okay? When you increase demand, you generate wealth. Innovation also allows you to solve problems. So it helps you to address problems in society. So innovation is key. And if you look back through any of the ages, those societies or those economies or those regions that dominated economically also dominated technologically. So innovation is key. And as I said, science, technology, engineering, and maths, if we take it to school now, which subjects do you actually learn at school? Well, it's only science and maths. So if you don't get those 2 on point, you're already locked off an option into the whole world of STEM to a large extent. So again, choices, the choices we make. And this is where schools are very important, because they're, you know, they can maneuver students into things which are not necessarily beneficial to them. They might maneuver them into double science instead of triple science, where you can get a feel for all the sciences, for example, even if you're bright enough.
Oh,
so
Mark, you
just as an example.
My soul, brother. I pray that we're listening. You are talking beautiful, brother. Teach.
Okay, thank you, my brother. But let's just continue for now. And I want to make the distinction between invention and innovation, because they say necessity is the mother of invention, right? That's what they say. But what is innovation? Well, let's just have a quick look what we mean by innovation. With invention, you're given some resources, and then the inventor will come up with some ideas. That's what an inventor does. Sometimes the resources might just be time to think, or it could be other things. It might be, you know, a little bit to get some equipment to test some things. And then they come up with the ideas. But what does an innovator do? An innovator takes new ideas and then makes money from it and turns it into cash. That's what an innovator does. We could use an example. Thomas Edison is known as a great innovator. Yeah, an innovator. His name's on over 1,000 patents. Whereas Nikola Tesla was a great inventor. He invented many, many things. Some say some of his technology still hasn't been, if you like, released to the public yet. But yet Nikola Tesla didn't make huge amounts of money. It was Thomas Edison, because his name was on the patents. So it gets to another issue, is that sometimes they say in this world you have 3 types of people: those who serve, those who create, and those who own. Now, as a community, we do a lot of serving. We know that. We know we do a lot of serving. And we also are creative. But part of it is owning what we create. We've got to think more carefully about that, because that is the key to unlocking our mobility, our social mobility, our economic empowerment, which is what we talk about generically. But in reality, when we get down to the details, these are the key things. If you was to ask people who's the richest man in the world, one might say Bill Gates, one might say Elon Musk, or whoever it may be. You notice most of them are rooted in technologies. If you ask them what are the biggest companies in the world, they might say Apple or Google or Amazon. It's technology-based companies that is where the value is at. So we cannot move away from STEM. I'm not just saying STEM because I'm passionate about physics. I could tell you about how I love to watch the stars and all that kind of thing. But that's not what this is about. This is about, if we're serious about economic empowerment, we need more innovators amongst us. Just as a side note, some quote unquote inventors who work for Edison, and you'll notice that Lewis Latimer worked for Edison. And as we know within the community, Lewis Latimer really was the one who developed the light bulb that actually could last a long time, because he developed the filament that actually could make it last for a long time. So in that respect, he actually developed the modern incandescent light bulb. But again, Edison holds well over 1,000 patents, and it would have been Edison who made the huge profits from that. So again, we need to start to own more of what we create. And just a quick thing now, we're just going to dive a little bit into the whole process of innovation, just so we get a bit of details what it really means. You start with an invention and then an innovation. Once you've innovated something, you want to turn that into a product of some kind that can be diffused into the marketplace. It's called the linear model. And what you find is that scientific research is often at the heart of some of these big paradigm shifts. If you think of some of the big technologies, the big changes over the many decades, you find that scientists are at the heart of these inventions. It could be internet, fiber optics, whatever it may be. You'll find that scientists are there. That's why it's so important. And the other thing, of course, if we're talking from an economic point of view, you can't just invent one product and actually expect to just that will be the product for life. No, products have a life cycle. They have early adopters, and then they will reach some maximum, and then eventually it will start to tail off. So in terms of growth, it's like this kind of S curve in yellow. In fact, I'll see if I can just pull up a pointer. Yeah, so it's like this S curve in yellow to kind of show that over time, it will start to plateau. There will be a time when there will be this growth, rapid growth. So in other words, technologies have to start having emerging technologies. As one technology starts to reach a peak, another new technology starts to take its place. A bit like the iPhone. I mean, at the moment, there is no demand for the iPhone 13. I don't think it exists yet. But as soon as they innovate, create the iPhone 13 with a slightly better camera or whatever it may be, all of a sudden there's a demand for millions. So that's how the money is made. Okay, the money is in the creativity and owning that through and protecting it. Okay, I did mention Marcus Garvey. What did Marcus Garvey say? Well, it was quite clear. And this was near enough 100 years ago. Marcus Garvey said this, and this was an instruction to parents. You must teach the higher development of science to your children, for in science and religion lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. So Marcus Garvey, some say he was like a prophet, and he foresaw that we would end up becoming slaves to technology and materialism if we are not part of the creation of it. If you're not part of the creation of it, your desire for it is even greater. It's a bit like when they say, if you knew how the sausage was made, you wouldn't eat it. It's that kind of thing, where at the end of the day, you have to be part of the creation to really, benefit from the demand and also not become dependent on it without any real overstanding of it. So now let's get to the details of where that starts. To get into this whole STEM field, it starts at school. We'll take it from year dot, if you like. And you can see that in terms of education, this is how it's structured. I've called it the school to PhD pipeline. We don't hear that term much. We hear another type of pipeline, but this is the school to PhD pipeline. And let's just make it clear what would need to happen to go, in an ordinary, an ordinary world. This is what the system says. You do your key stages, 3 and 4. The first real test is probably your SATs. If you're going to grammar schools, you may have to do 11 plus. And that's the first point at which the separation can start in some form or another, okay? And this pipeline, if you think about it, if we wanted to develop a healthy school to PhD pipeline, then we've got to look at the points at which we lose our people, our brothers and sisters along the pipeline. So then the next stage then is GCSE. And then of course, A-levels, you need the right A-levels to go on to do a bachelor's in the appropriate, at the appropriate institution. And if you wanted to do a PhD, you do a master's and then a PhD. And you can see that you'll be at least around 25 years old. That's what the system says. Minimum would be about 25 years old before you have a PhD, which makes the achievements of the Amafadom family even more remarkable. And if you don't know who the Amafadom family are, I'm sure that others will fill you in the chat. But just to show our Black excellence shines through in all kinds of areas. So let's get into some detail, and I'm afraid I am going to have to go through a few tables and charts, but I'm going to try and pull out what I think is important and help you to understand what this really means. Now, a lot of this data is from HESA, which is the Higher Education Statistics Authority, and they basically collect data across all of the UK. And in fact, some of this data, or some of the data, was in the sewage report. However, for some reason, he didn't seem to see what, to me, seems clear. But again, this is not about that report. This is about what the data actually says from our understanding. And you can see this is now key stage 2 to 5 attainment goals by ethnicity. So they broke it down into many different categories. And I've sort of put arrows where it's Black, Black African, Black other, Black Caribbean. The only reason why I didn't include mixed is because mixed can sometimes mean lots of different combinations. But if you look at it, it's sort of saying that in the first column, it's sort of saying, well, this is the percentage you achieve the standard. And you can see that for the Black indicators, it's pretty much in the same sort of region, give or take. Obviously, you can see the Chinese and Indian are doing extremely well at that age. And then when we get to age 10, 11, remember that's the sort of 11 plus cutoff, you can start to see it's still, well, Black Caribbeans and starting to tail off, Black African still holding up reasonably well. But then we get to GCSE, and again, GCSE is one of the key stages in the pipeline. Because if you don't get a good set of GCSEs, you're not necessarily going to be able to do the right A levels, and it's probably an indicator of potentially how well you might do in the A levels. So in terms of GCSE now, you can start to see that in terms of the Black, it's starting to be a little bit below what we would expect, especially when you compare it to some of the others. Even if we take white British, it's still Black Africans holding up, it looks like, but Black Caribbeans certainly start to drop off. And then we get to A level. And to get into the, if you like, the top institutions, you generally need at least 3 grade A's at A level. And this is where you start to look at it and it looks, well, it doesn't look that much different, but in fact, you can tell it's smaller, but you're thinking, well, how much smaller? Well, if we go to another plot now, and this is where it's aggregated it now into Black, you can see that for the other groups, at least around 10, 11% of those who sit their A levels get 3 A's. We're operating at half that amount. So once we've got through this school system, even those who finally get there, we're operating at half the amount. And then when you go on to university, it says those who achieve at least a 2-1 at undergraduate level, you can now see that we're at, well, just under 60%, but most others are well above that. And this actually means something. This actually will have a financial and economic impact down the line. Because you've got to understand how the economy is set up. This is what is known as a knowledge-based economy. Yeah, this is not a farming economy this is a knowledge-based economy. We may not like it, as I say, don't hate the player, hate the game, if that's the case. But the point is, this is the economy you're in. If you want to succeed in that economy, we've got to understand the game and understand, how to play that game, which other communities do. And they don't necessarily sacrifice all of their culture in order to play the game either. So it's certainly doable, and which is why I like what Weiler are doing, in terms of keeping that cultural capital as well as pushing as far as you can in other areas. I think we, as a community, we're quite capable of what is sometimes called bicultural competence. That's just a standard thing. So now let's just move into what that means in terms of which universities they enter. We've already said that only 5.5% of our students who sit the A levels, and when I say our students, the students in the Black community who sit them, compared to, so in other words, half as many in terms of the rate, half as many get the top grades. And so what that looks like now is when you look at the types of universities they go to, and when it talks about low, medium, and high tariff, this is not fees, this is entrance requirements. So what they do, they take the top third institutions and say, well, with the average entry requirements are the top third, if that makes sense, and they would call that high tariff. And then low tariff is where the entrance requirements are, if you like, the lowest third in terms of how they calculate it. But when you look at that, you can see that for most of the groups, they tend to have essentially high, at least a third. You'd expect a third if everything was exactly equal. But you can see for the Black group, again, going to the high tier universities, 17.6% attend those high tariff universities compared to around 30 to 35% for the other groups. And then when it comes to the low tariff universities, you can see about just under half, 47, 48% go to the low tier universities compared to other groups. For white, it's 27, 28%. So again, what it's saying is that many of our students, we are going to universities, but we're ending up in some of the lower tariff universities, and that also has other consequences, which where I'm going to step into. Just one quick moment. Right, that's better. I couldn't quite see the full screen with the way how I had it set up. Right, okay, so in terms of entrance into STEM by ethnicity, you can see, and this now is looking at over 10 years or more, 10, 11, 12 years worth of data, year on year. So this is another thing about when we talk about institutional bias or institutional racism. Does it exist? Does it not? If this was just 1 year's data, then we could say to ourselves, well, okay, maybe that was just a freak year. But when you're looking year on year, then you can start to see trends. So this is just entrance into STEM. And what it is actually showing is that for Black, which is in green, we are increasing our numbers getting into STEM. That partly indicates that the message is getting through, that our aspirations are being raised. I want to pull out the positives as well as the drawbacks, if you like, but our aspirations are being raised. And so with that in mind, I think that, you know, there's a lot of good work that's going out in the community, you know, to raise aspirations. I remember going to a primary school in North London, and it was predominantly a Black primary school. And I went there with another colleague of mine. We did some things around science and so on and engineering. And at the end, they asked the students, oh, what did you think of the day? Or what did you take from the day? And there was one girl, one girl, she said, this morning when I came in, I wanted to drive the bus. Now I want to make the bus. Okay, and so that is what I would see as a shift of mindset. At that early age, then you stand a good chance that your mindset has changed. You want to change from driving it now to actually making the bus. That's going to make you think about how is it made and so on. But once you've done that and raised aspirations, the next thing is, well, you've got to find out how to support the preparation. And this is where the community, we can't rely on other institutions. Things like supplementary schools and are key, because you have to, you can aspire to be an astronaut all we want, but at some point you're going to need that special preparation. And so this is where we have to pay much more attention to the education, what we're seeking, because at least in theory, on paper, it's the education system that's actually going to, that's supposed to provide this preparation. And for many groups it does, but for some reason, as I said, we seem to be shortchanged. Let's just quickly move on now in terms of, this is an interesting plot, because what it's showing is that in terms of when we study, when we get to those sort of degree level, around 40 to 50% of the Black students start the degree level at under 20. Whereas for whites, for example, it's 80%. Sorry, for Asians, it's 80%, and for whites, it's around 70%. So you can see that many of the other groups, they start earlier than we do. And then at PhD level, it's the same sort of trend, where a lower, you know, when it comes to 24 and under to start your PhD, a lower percentage of Black students start compared to the other groups. So again, it's almost, if you think of it as a race, we are already kind of starting later than a lot of the others. I'm not saying, of course, this is on aggregate, so I don't want to take anyone's individual circumstance to say, well, you know, you should have done it earlier. Whenever you can do what you can do, that is absolutely fine. But as a community as a whole, and that's how I'm looking at it, then you can clearly see that we are behind in terms of when it kicks in, when it clicks in, I don't know. But as a community, we can do more to catch that up. And this is again, now, again, another interesting one. This is a percentage of STEM entrants from what they call low participation neighborhoods. That basically means neighborhoods with a low participation rate in higher education. In other words, there are some neighborhoods where nearly all the children go to university, and there are some neighborhoods where hardly any do. Well, this is, well, again, breaking it down by ethnicity, you can see that for our Black students, we still have more. Where we're there in the middle there, there's still more both for first degree and for postgraduate degree that we are statistically more likely to come from what is deemed as low participation neighborhoods. And then this is another interesting one, the percentage of STEM students that left with no award by ethnicity. And you can see again that Black is essentially above the rest, that we have a higher percentage who effectively leave with no award. It could be drop out after the first year, etc., or even after several years. So let's just think about the consequences of that. I've taken an example here of 4.6%. I think at the time that worked out at about 800. We could call it 1,000, but even if you had 1,000 of our Black students, let's say they left after the first year, then essentially that's 1,000 times 9,000 fees already. Okay, so someone in the chat can put how much that comes to, just to make sure you're switched on. But you work out 1,000 times 9,000, and that's how much extra debt those fees would still presumably have to be paid, which would have been taken on, which has been loaded onto our community because for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out. We could always speculate about the reasons. Is it the institution's fault? Is it the individual's fault? But as a community, can we really afford to lose that? Or should we be using that in better ways? And not only that, it's not just about, it's not even like it's from our reserves as a community. This is debt that we're taking on. So we're already, you know, I see debt as something like the brakes on a car. It slows you down, okay? And so as a result, our progress is being slowed down by situations like this. And by the way, this is what the data is saying. So I don't want you to think that it's me personally saying it from my own personal, this is what the data appears to show. And I'm just really highlighting the consequences of the data as a community. So this is where we all take collective responsibility. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Okay, and just a quick one. There was some discussion about, you know, girls and boys. Well, black men, Black boys, they seem to have it quite hard here as well. When it comes to leaving with no award, you can see when it's broken down into gender in the Black section, it's nearly 11% for Black males and 6% for females. So again, you can see that there is this disparity. And I would say there is this issue across the board for most of them in terms of male, but the difference is quite stark here, as you can see, within our community. So again, we could wonder about the institutions failing our Black boys, and I'm sure there is definitely part of that. But at the same time, we have to be mindful that think about what we can do for ourselves. I'm just going to keep it moving briefly. This is one thing, this is now BAME, which includes everybody. This is one thing which really kicked off the whole investigation, the so-called attainment gap. So this is a number of people, you know, students who get firsts or 2-1s. And you can see for white students, well, now it's around 80%. There's this 10% difference, this gap. And this is between white and BAME, where it includes the entire, all the ethnic groups. But you can see this is systemic. That's at the end of the day, if this was an experiment and I was expecting the light green line, but every time I measured, I got the dark green line, I could see that I'm off by a certain amount all the time. What you'd actually be justified in doing experimentally is shifting that dark green curve to match what you would expect to see. And the reason why it's systematic, they call it a systematic bias in scientific terms, but the reason why it's systematic is because it's always in the same direction. It's a bit like this short change thing. You ever notice whenever you're short changing a shop, it's always in one direction. The shopkeeper never gives you too much and makes a mistake and gives you too much. It's systemic, it's systematic. So again, I find it hard to see how a certain report wasn't able to see these things. And then when we look at look at the STEM qualifiers by ethnicity and gender, it's similar again, but you can see there's not as much as a difference here, but nevertheless, the females seem to be outperforming the males in higher education, at least in STEM, based on the data. And again, this is national data across all institutions across 10 years. In physics term, it's covering all of time and space within that 10-year sample space. And then we look at now this is another interesting one, because we then broke it down between, let's say, the Black students from low participation neighborhoods and maybe those who are not from low participation neighborhoods. In other words, does money make a difference? If we look at the white curve on the right, you can see there's a clear difference between the performance or the attainment of those from low participation and those from other areas. You see there's this clear gap. So money seems to make a difference for, for a white student in terms of where you're from, or at least, your social economic background. When we go to black, there is no difference. What that says to me, and I can't really put it any clearer, is that at least once you're in higher education, if you're black, money doesn't save you. You're faced with the same odds. So there is really no real point in thinking that you may be any different from any other black student who's there in higher education. You're all in the same boat. You're facing the same odds. And when we get on to first and 2-1s, you will see that these odds, again, these are odds over long periods of time. So this is not a one-off year. One interesting one again, they have a group of universities called the Russell Group universities. These universities, they get the top funding, they get about 2/3 of the research. It's where most of the top students go, etc. Where all the connections are made, and all the captains of industry and politicians, etc. They all went to these types of universities. And if we look again in terms of attainment of numbers of firsts and 2-1s, you can see that there's this gap here between black and white, this same attainment gap which we talked about. And again, for Russell Group, for other universities, if you like, some of the low tariff universities, it's even greater. So in fact, your odds are worse. If you like, the attainment gap is worse at other universities than Russell Group universities. Just another way of looking at it is basically, if you look at the dark green and the light green together, they are first and 2-1s. And you can see for white, it covers quite a lot of the cohort. But for blacks, black students, again, we're falling way behind. And again, look at this, the number of thirds. The number of thirds is nearly 10%. Now, I don't want to, again, this is nothing about individual attainment in terms of, many people can still do well with thirds, etc. And I don't want to come across as any kind of academic kind of snobbery, but I want to just state some facts. A third means that you got more than 50% of the work incorrect overall throughout the entire degree. Now, at some point, we have to be more responsible about our education. Would you sign up to something? Would you let a surgeon operate on you if they got 50% of their work wrong most of the time? Would you let a pilot fly your plane? So this is the same thing. A third-class degree, there should really be no reason for a third-class degree after all of that effort. But yet we have 10%. And when you look at compared to some of the others, white is at 3.7, for example, and the rest are around 5%. So we're twice as likely to get a third-class degree as other groups, at least, and 3 times more likely than whites, near enough. So in that situation, what does that mean economically? Well, it means that if you get a third-class degree, it's very difficult to compete for a graduate job, because essentially there'll be other graduates, and you can see the vast majority will have better than a third. So that means you have to get a job which doesn't require a degree, which means the degree, to some extent, is probably not, it's not worth as much as you've invested in. And yet you'll still have about 50,000 pounds worth of debt. So we have to think about that. As a community, can we afford that many? Again, this is nothing about individuals. This is collective responsibility I'm talking about. So anything I say is all about the collective responsibility. We have a responsibility as a community to ensure that we don't have so many. Many of us may think that the job is done once they reach university. Just like back in the early days, our parents thought the job was done once we were at school, only to realize there was all sorts going on at school. Well, it's the same thing going on in higher education, but in a different, more, let's say, sophisticated way.
Can I just say, brother, the implications of what you're saying, brother, I don't know whether everyone's understanding the depth and the implications, because it's not just about at school now. You're going into the realms of university. You talk about into the realms of Russell Group and what have you, UK, brother. And this is serious information you're passing on that they're not giving us, brother.
Absolutely. But, as they say, knowledge is power. So, this is what it's about. We have to share what we know to those who want to hear. And that's the start of it. And so it does beg the question, looking at that pipeline, you can see the school to PhD pipeline, at least in STEM, is extremely leaky, to say the least. And it does beg the question, well, where are our students going? Where are our children going? And it doesn't take a genius to work out where a lot of them get caught up into. And again, we've got to think about this. We know that the criminal justice system doesn't work in our favor, and we know that we are overrepresented. But again, it's sometimes useful to get an understanding of how much. And if we look at it, we can see that this is the 2011 census. I'm sure they'll have one coming out soon. But this dark blue, this is the percentage of Black, the Black population, if you like, in the country. This is a percentage. So that means if everything was exactly even, then that would be the size of our dark blue across all these different columns. But as you can see, we are well overrepresented. This is for numbers of convictions in UK by ethnicity. We are well overrepresented. And so again, we are losing our children to this pipeline. And I want to try and see if we can shift our mindset, because it's going to take an internal change. We can't rely on external bodies to change it. We've got to shift our mindset from this school to prison pipeline towards a school to PhD pipeline. Not to say that they're all going to get PhDs, but as my late mother used to say, if you aim for the sky, always aim for the sky. And even if you just get to the top of the lamppost, at least you're off the ground. The first thing, you've got to start looking upwards and start moving in the right direction. This tells us straight away what's happening to our children. And I can't see any other way of describing it. It's compared to our population. And again, this is something that has been going on for a long time. So let's move to some of the things that I can show you some examples of some of the things that I've been doing. And in fact, again, it's a small world. Many years ago, I worked with Tony Sewell on one of his first generating genius projects, which for all intents and purposes was a good project, in that sense. And it did produce some students. In fact, the one circled ended up being an undergraduate in our department. And so one of the things in physics that I was always quite concerned about was, why was there not more people like me doing physics at places like Imperial? And so the few students who were there, and about 10 years or more, this was actually a meme. And this was one time when this was a student who was just leaving, and this was one who had graduated the year before, and this was Lorimer, who was still there as an undergraduate at the time. And we were the only ones at the time, give or take, in the department. And I was a researcher at the time, and we were, I basically took them under our wing, and we went for a meal. And that's how it sometimes starts, I sometimes have a saying, it only takes a few grains of coffee to make the entire milk brown. Anyway, that's my own personal saying. That's what keeps me going sometimes, but we grew. And our building is called the Blackett Lab. So we called ourselves the Blackett Lab family. And then we met up, and it was to support other students who were passing through, other Black students, so they could have some kind of support network within, within and without, so to speak. And we grew, and then we started utilizing the students, doing tutored math sessions, bringing students in, bringing more of the community in, if you like. And I circled that guy because he was actually the teacher at the time, and he was an undergraduate. And it's an important lesson, that you don't have to be too high up in age to be able to be useful to someone else. He was an undergraduate. There was only a few years more. Again, this is other examples where we use the Blackett Lab family in different ways to support students coming in and really start to demystify this whole place. And of course, I'd have to give a big shout out to Weiler. They came in probably a couple of years ago now, and it's all part of getting them used to these environments and giving them an insight into really what physics is all about. Since then, since lockdown, we've created a website and we've reached out now. We've got Instagram, Twitter, and all the socials, and have become much more visible. We've now connected with Black physicists across the UK. Not only that, we've now struck, if you like, what they call memorandums of understandings with organizations like the Institute of Physics. There's been articles in The Guardian, etc., about this group. We've now become a voice for Black physicists in the UK. Not only that, any young person who's interested in physics, they can now connect with this group, and we can support them in many different ways. And we have people right across the board. So again, it started from me as an individual, just thinking, well, why can't there be more like me? But over time, you can actually grow something that now becomes a force for the community. Not only that, it also has other benefits, because we've got lots of very talented individuals in this group, and this isn't obviously the full group. We have many talented individuals, which means we can now address community issues, community problems, community-based issues, because that's what we are, a collection of Black physicists, and part of our remit is to serve the community, demystify certain concerns. I remember there was a lot of concern about 5G back in the day. These kind of things could be now discussed, maybe in a more, from a, let's say, a more trusted source. One a we, as them say, one a we.
Oh, go on. Love you, Brother Mark.
Okay, so what I would say now is just to sort of, I'm going to bring it home very shortly, very quickly. I wasn't quite sure how long this would be, but I'm going to bring it home now. But one of the things is, where did I get my inspiration or motivation, not even inspiration, motivation from? Some of it actually was from the US. And I remember years ago, I met a brother called Stefan Alexander, and he's up there on the left. He was a postdoc just for 2 years at Imperial, and I didn't even meet him at Imperial. I met him, I was DJing at a bar in Portobello, and he plays the saxophone, and that's how we met, basically. But he's actually a theoretical physicist, and he kind of showed me that you can, there is a network out there, at least in the US, of really strong physicists. So another brother I want to mention, who's, I would say, is one of my physics heroes. You've never probably heard of him before. Maybe some have. James Sylvester Gates, Jim Gates. And why do I rate him so much? Well, I've written it down here. He inspires me as the first to introduce Ghanaian-based Adinkra symbols. I'll just stop that right there. You know when you watch, if you're not into mathematics, it all looks either Chinese or Greek, or right?
Woo!
Well, he introduced Adinkra symbols in an area of theoretical physics called supersymmetric representation theory. And this was to represent concepts that were difficult to express in words, because they were these complicated algebra expressions. And he used Adinkra symbols as the means to express them. Now, that may just sound like, oh, it's just something to do. No, what that means is that in 100 years, 1,000 years time, that will go down in history as the African contribution to that area of science. And these are the kinds of things that, Jim is, he was clued up from very early. As you can see, that's an early picture when he was lecturing at MIT back in the 70s. So what I'm saying is that we've got to find ways of preserving our contribution. About when I was talking about owning what you create, well, in the scientific sphere, it's the same thing. If you think about those names, Stefan Alexander, James Gates, if you read research papers, you wouldn't know they were Black. So by introducing Ghanaian symbols, Adinkra symbols, as certain operations that all scientists have to use in this particular area, it shows that there was an African presence in this very, very high level thinking in theoretical physics. And furthermore, there is an organization which has been going very long now, for about 40 years or so, the National Society of Black Physicists. And they actually started, because there was a small bunch of physicists who couldn't, they were not invited to the conferences. And so they started making their own conference. Now they have a huge conference. And I actually attended one a couple of years ago, and they are completely different to any kind of scientific conference you will go to, even though they're all physicists at all different levels, talking about physics and so on, but there just seems to be more flavor there. It's just how it is. So again, this is part of what we need to do. We start to link together to form a nucleus. I don't want to use too many physics terms. We want to form that nucleus and then generate a chain reaction throughout the community so we can all rise. Okay, just to bring it more home and just to sort of show you that I do like to have a little bit of fun. A couple of things I'd want to just sort of show you. One thing is, this is a visual representation of how I think science can be demystified. So this image on the left, does anybody want to have a guess in the chat what that image is on the left at all? There is an image on the left. Now, I tell you, it was made out of sellotape, but the sellotape was orientated at certain angles. And if you shine what is called polarized light at it, then you can get different colors from the light, just a bit like Newton when he splits the light into different colors. But this is done with sellotape, and just to show you how you can intertwine creativity with science. I'm not sure what people have put in the chat, actually.
We got, someone says, well, we can't see it properly, but someone says a pyramid, collage, fractions,
well,
spectrum, a phase. I can see a woman. I can see
Well, there you go.
prismic art.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. So again, and remember, this was made with sellotape, nothing more than sellotape. And when I say polarized light, don't think it's anything fancy. Most people who have those fancy Ray-Bans and those, you know, they are polarized lenses. If you look at that image through a pair of lenses, Ray-Bans or whatever, you will see that same thing. So again, this is both a combination. It wasn't made by myself. It was made by my assistant in outreach, because she is an artist. But nevertheless, it was to show how science and art are very much intertwined, as we always knew that from, you know, antiquities. And then the only other.
Oh, don't go, brother. Give him a few more seconds. Hopefully he's still there. Brother Mark, this has been, brothers and sisters, how have you found Brother Mark tonight? Let me know in the chat room, brothers and sisters, please, because, you know, I love to get the grassroots brothers, but you know we're going to need our scientists. We're going to need our professionals up there on the top of the echelon. This is he's one of the top physicists in the UK. And he talks about Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Oh, come on, man. Top physicists, man. That's what I you know, this is a platform of right knowledge, brothers and sisters. I don't know if he's still there. Oh, he must have gone. Technical. But brother, make some noise, man. Lick shot pump Babylon. I wish you could see your response, brothers and sisters. Let's have a quick look. He may come back again, but let's appreciate the kind of brother we had on this platform tonight. Brother Mark, Dr. Mark Richards, atmospheric physicist at the Imperial College. That was him back in the DJing days. There, brothers and sisters, that is so important that we see this, because our children love DJing. Our children love music. They may be into drill. They may be into rap. But can you tell them and show them? We've got a brother that was a DJ, and he transferred his DJ knowledge into physics, into light and chemistry. And oh, come on, man. So from being a DJ, you end up being one of the top physicists in the UK. And from being a DJ, now look what he's doing. That's a DJ. But we don't see it as a DJ. We think that, you know, you know, we can't reach that level. This is the kind of brother we've got with us today, brothers and sisters. And literally, as I said, he's world renowned. He's literally, when we talk about Black History Month, his posters goes up, brothers and sisters. This is the brother that we're blessed to be with tonight. And this is the brother in action again.
I always felt it's important to connect with people from my community. Music is a great way of doing that. In the early days, my mother used to have this large gramophone and we used to play it very loud. These experiences led us to really appreciate music. But why stop there when there are disciplines outside of music where you can use what you know to help enhance other interests in other areas? When I was about 14 years old or so, I got top marks in the chemistry testing class. There were those who weren't pleased, and one of them even asked the teacher if he could remark my work. You know, why should I not get top marks, and why is there a set of people who feel that they're entitled to always be top of the class? I think I've been sort of pushing back against that kind of viewpoint ever since. Anybody can be a researcher. What I've found in my own experience is that they come from all different walks of life. Over the years, my research has evolved from chemistry to physics and instrumentation and optics. Now it's more about maths and computing, developing the systems that will handle an array of environmental sensors. You can then start to develop pollution maps, understand the dynamics of the chemicals in our atmosphere, how they affect us in terms of air pollution and also in terms of climate change. I started DJing as a teenager, and I used to keep those worlds very separate. But over time, you realize that you're a whole person. You can embrace the things that you enjoy in a meaningful and effective way. So now there are lots of aspects of my work that involve music and sound. research happens at the interface between different disciplines. If you only approach it one way, then it can limit you. But if you have a different perspective, often that sheds light onto where the solution lies. And so the more you remain your authentic self, the more valuable you become because you're bringing something unique.
Brothers and sisters, Dr. Mark Richards, one of the top physicists connected all over the world. You had him here for yourself on the Hidden Truth platform. Brother Dr. Mark, oh, and before I just asked him to say his last words to us, brothers and sisters, he mentioned the family. And some of you didn't know the family that he was talking about. This is the family that he was referring to. The Imafidon family, if I pronounced it correct, Brother Mark. And literally, they're not the smartest black children in the UK, smartest family, full stop. But how many of our children are being fed this? How many of us as parents are hearing about this? This is the Times, this is the Guardian. They're known, but yet they only give us an image that our children are being expelled and that they're no good, that they're educationally subnormal. But Dr. Mark here is living proof of what is really happening and what we can really achieve. Brother Dr. Mark, my goodness, brother, you absolutely smashed it tonight, brother. You absolutely smashed it. Brother, please don't go yet. Have some closing words for us, okay, brother? So don't go yet, brother.
Sure.
Oh, I'm just looking at Sister Lady Ma'at Adele. I know that you wanted to say, Sister Ma'at is on the line. I know she's got a crew, and so she had to be seen. Sister Lady Ma'at, when it comes to education, this is your baby too. What is it that you wanted to ask, or what is it that you wanted to say, sister?
I just wanted as I was listening to everybody today, I was just thinking about my own experience in education. I just wanted to say a few words really to the teachers that are out there and the educationalists, I should say, that are out there in the family today, and particularly our younger ones. So just 5 minutes or so, I just want to say, family, I've been in education now for over 30 years. And one of the reasons I went into education is because my own experience as a child and the failure I was at school and the failure of that I was seeing within the community. And I didn't want the same thing to happen to other young people. So I just want to quickly share two experiences that are very, very different. One of my early experiences when I started teaching is that I had to have a conversation with a boy who had got himself into trouble. And it was a young black boy. And I remember the deputy head at the time walking past me and saying, "What language are you speaking to this boy in?" Because I was speaking it to him in a way that he could understand and he could appreciate. And that the deputy head who was overhearing couldn't appreciate that. But on another note, when I was more senior in school, I was asked once to observe a teacher who had been, a black teacher who had been observed many times. And they had asked me, "Can you come and observe this teacher?" Little did I know that they were intending to get this teacher out of the school, but because the teacher had talked about racism in an earlier set of meetings, which I was unaware of, they needed to use another black teacher to collude with what was going on. And it was only by accident that the deputy head at that time came and said to me, "Adele, we need you as another black person so they don't call racism out on this one." And that became a very big issue with me and that particular school, because of course I wouldn't engage in that kind of activity. So the organisation Education will go to great lengths to move people on. So just moving very quickly, we know the facts around us. Our children are supposed to be badly behaved, the exclusion rate, the curriculum's not reflecting us, the low expectations. We measure against failure. The glass is always half empty for our young people, never half full. And that's a starting point that happens in education. We know about the stereotypes. We recruit staff that has no understanding of our young people or the demographics or the area from which, whatever they come from. And if I'm just being honest with you, I don't believe this thing will change, but it will rearrange. So it might look different at another time, but ultimately there is no desire to change all of that. We talk now about white boys being the failing group. I'm not going to deny that that's the case, but what I will still hold by is that our young black boys and our young black girls are still not raising. So it's not that they've raised, and now white boys have dropped below. The white boys may have dropped below, but our young black people still haven't raised up. So I have an issue with that. And also I do an exercise with teachers when I do teacher work, and I say to them, in your subject area, list for me 10 notable people within your subject area. And I guarantee every time black and white teachers, and I've had to do this on myself, will be able to list more white people within their subject areas than even black. So just that in itself means that when I'm talking about, I teach maths, when I'm talking about maths, I will be able to mention more European maths teachers than I could even mention about African maths or ancient Kemetic maths. So that's something that we need to look at. So the question is, what is the purpose of education? Well, it's not to set us free. It is to confuse, it is to distract, it is to label, and it is to contain. And just listening to what the doctor has just spoken about, even within university, it's just a containing tool, because our young people are not free to move and excel. We need to grow that curiosity, we need to grow that creativity that our children have from that primary school age, because it's creativity and curiosity that drives the world on, that gets the invention, that makes the world a better place. If our children can't do that, they cannot contribute to the way, the direction that the world is traveling. And it'll keep our children in a pre-designed or pre-designated place. And we have to be honest with that. And I'm quite direct, I'm within the system, so I believe I know what I'm talking about here. So what is the action? I would say, and no particular order, somebody said to me when I first started in teaching, they said to me, Adele, when I was offered to go a position on the SLT for the first time, and I didn't want to go on it because I was going to be the only black person on the SLT. And a wise teacher said to me, get on the SLT, because by the nature of you being black, you will change the nature of the conversation. So you may not change policy, you may not change procedure, but your very presence, just by your color, without opening your mouth, will change the nature of the conversation. And that made me make that step as much as I feared it that long time ago. Then I have to ask the question, we talk about the curriculum not reflecting us, but do we really want people, European, writing that part of the curriculum, or deciding how that part of the curriculum will be delivered? Because it will just become a bolt-on. So as much as I do Black History Month, I know it's a bolt-on. So I think to myself, we've got to be careful who we want delivering that curriculum and how it's going to be delivered and how they write it. We as educators, we need to stand up and challenge institutional racism. It's very hard to do that. And just remember that not all Black teachers are conscious teachers. Some Black teachers are colluding teachers. And that is because sometimes we're fearful to stand up on our own. 30 years later, I can do it. Because if they're not happy with it, I just walk away. I have that. But as a young teacher, it's hard to be able to do that. And so just in closing, Andrew, some of the things that I have found, just at a very basic level, that really works with our young people is this thing called relationships. So I make sure I use proactive language with young people. I might complain in the staff room, I might whinge, but when I'm with the young person, proactive language only. I speak to the young people as if they've already achieved their dream. So you know when you're in that bank, and I come to you, you know when I'm walking with my shopping bags as an old lady, I know you're going to pick me up and you're going to drive me home. When I need a lawyer, you're going to be there. I speak to them like they've already achieved it, and they're going to do something for me when I'm old, and they strive for that. Everything they learn, I relate to the culture. So we're learning this about in history. So I wonder what was happening in the Caribbean at that time. You know what, when that was happening in Germany, this is what was happening in Africa. And so I relate it to that constantly because it keeps me on my toes. Another thing is affirmation. The young people, if you go back to school, will always say, that Miss Lynch, man, she's always got some proverb. That when I was leaving that school, they stood up on stage and said, there's this teacher, and all she ever says, that a wise man once said, was my label. And my affirmation is, The best way to predict the future is to create the future. And the young people will be able to repeat that to you whenever you used to see them. And I'm honest, I say to them, I don't care about you because I'm getting my paycheck when you're excluded. Do you think that you're really harming anybody? And they sit back and they think, it's true, you know, it's true, you know. So I get them to understand. And you could say, Adele, but you're shooting yourself there. But they need to understand that I'm going home, I'm getting paid, I'm with my family. If you fail, that's your business. So they need to understand the truth of it. And another thing I use with our young people, I say to them, your weakness is your strength misdirected. And I used to have a young girl who used to be cussing and shouting and screaming. And I used to say to her, you know what, you're a fantastic speaker. You are going to make change in this world. You just got to redirect your language. Let's find a topic for you. And she would sit there and say, no. But she would stop and think, yeah, you know what, I am a good speaker. In a debate competition, you convince the people that this is the decision. So I remind them, and I remind other adults, a child's poor behavior, whatever you want to call it, is just a weakness that is misdirected. And it's our job to move it that way. And that one of the last things I always do is I model curiosity, surprise, and creativity. I do it all the time. Sometimes people think, oh, Adele is quite naive. She's behaving like she don't know. I do it for purpose. Because I can see Sister Sabrina is laughing in the background all the time. I do that. I model that curiosity. What do you think about that? Oh my goodness, you tell me. That's strange. Tell me all about that. As if I don't know, because the young people want to show that they know, that they can explain. And I've got to say, a year ago, Brother Andrew, I was sitting in an interview on MS Teams because of COVID, and there's a young black man there, and I'm about to interview him for a deputy head position. And we're looking at his school on his CV, and he went to a school, and I said, oh, I know this school. He said, yes, I know you. And I thought, oh my God, who is it that knows me? I haven't been in that school for over 20 years. He said, yes, you used to be my head of year. And so now, and there I couldn't recognize him until he said that. And now I'm working with my own young people. So just in closing, you can see I'm passionate. That's why I've been in it for 30 years.
Feel that fire.
I always say, and for all of us out there, I have tried with the family to go out there and set up a black school in this country. Let me say now, unless we set up a private black school, it's not going to happen. The system is against all of that. So we will need to come together as a family and as a community if we want to create an all black school. So I would say that supplementary schools like WYLA, they are not supplementary schools. They are the foundation for our young black people upon which the formal education can build their future. Without the roots of places like WYLA, the foundation is always going to be weak. So I am not into this supplementary school title. It's a bolt-on title. It's a weak title. It's the foundation upon which our children can be safe within the education environment where we don't really care enough to make sure that curiosity, that potential within you is out there to make you free and change the world for yourself, for your community, and for everybody. So, Brother Andrew, I just wanted to say that for all our teachers out there, stand united. Forget all the NUT, Black Teachers Association. We are going to be bigger and we've got to be stronger. And then we will make change for our young people, even though we're trapped or caught up in this system. And that's all I had to say. Family, thank you very much, Andrew.
We said that tonight was going to be the fire. We said it tonight. Education of the Black nation. Brothers and sisters, come on, man. Come on. What kind of people we've got? And guess what? Oh my God. We're going to end it off now with two. Remember, I haven't forgot the Ben's, Sabrina's family waiting just to drop it off. They're as I said, they're the cherry on the cake. But brothers and sisters, all the way from Africa, don't tell me our sister's internet has gone. No, she's still there. Fantastic. We've got our sister all the way in Ghana. And she's been so patient with us, brothers and sisters. Cheryl Phoenix of the Black Child Agenda. Just as before the sister comes on, this was our sister. Always
being launched. So what can we expect, do you think?
My expectations aren't very high, but the fact that there's an inquiry about the police actually doing an investigation into themselves is bizarre in the first point. And secondly, with regards to what was said, with regards to stop and search, etc., one thing that we have to also look at and take into account is that we have this matrix that the police actually have as well, the gangs matrix, and even those that are victims of crime are actually put on there. They're not using correct intelligence when they're actually stopping and searching people. Sometimes it could be as random. So, you know, there is a bit of animosity between the community and the police, and I think that there needs to be more intelligence-led, not just a blanket sweep over anyone just because they're young, black and male.
Well, do you think the stop and search in itself is an effective tool?
So you can see the sister representing on all levels, okay, brothers and sisters.
Being launched.
But just before the sister comes in, I'm going to ask Sister Show. I'm not even going to stop. I'm going to let her roll in a second, okay, brothers and sisters. But just as sister comes in, you know, she speaks about what is happening there to our young people in the UK. And in the Daily Mail, it says, Spy Kids, new intelligence laws allow children to work as secret agents for councils, anti-fraud bodies, and even the gambling watchdog, and even to shop against their own parents. Wow. Brothers and sisters, the government's now giving legislation that our children can now spy on us. What kind of generation are we building? Also, we know this has happened with Pimlico School, had a very successful, you know, a stand-up amongst, they saw racist law being passed, but then what are they saying now about those young people?
Of MPs and peers have urged a school in central London not to discipline pupils if they organise more protests. Last month, students at Pimlico Academy staged a walkout over what they say are racist changes to the curriculum and uniform. The head teacher has agreed to revise some of the policies, but the sixth formers who organised the action were warned they could face permanent exclusion if there are more demos. A council in East London is asking.
Did you hear that, brothers and sisters? Those same beautiful children that stood up against the system based on racism and fascism are now being threatened of being permanently excluded. Yeah, permanently excluded. And then also we had the Tony Sewage report coming out on the same day. So I just threw those things into the mix. Sister Cheryl, oh my God. I've done all of that and our internet has gone. Our sister, I wanted her to let off tonight for a little while for ourselves. We still got over 460 of us on the platform. I'm just giving our sister 2 more seconds because she's all the way in Ghana right now. And she did tell me that the internet was a bit funny out there. Okay, we're going to give her a few more seconds to come back. But in the meantime, our young brother is tired. So Sabrina, yeah, let's I may have to bring Cheryl in on another day, okay? Because I know the internet was a bit funny. Sister Sabrina, how are you doing, sister? You've been fantastic tonight. We can see your little one still with us. Sister Sabrina.
Yeah, I'm here. We're enjoying this. This is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Well, introduce us to the little ones again. Oh, well, I say the little ones. Introduce us to the Jackson 5, beloved, if you can. And we want to hear from them.
Them all on the same camera, or can they go on?
They can go on.
They're all in the room. I don't know if you're able to see.
Okay, what names?
What message? So Paolo, Lachey, Trey Sean, Yasmin.
I know my big brother Trey Sean. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Let's have a look, brothers and sisters. Okay. So, oh my God, we got over 400 and odd people on the platform, so it's hard to find their names.
Should I get them to message in the chat? Would that be easier?
Yes, if you can, please.
If you can message in the chat, Paolo.
I've got Trey Sean here. I'm doing him as a panelist. I've got 2 Trey Seans here as a panelist. Fantastic. Fantastic. I've got 2 of them on, if that's possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
And let's have a look. So Trey Sean, I don't know which one's which. If you could both turn on your cameras, because there's 2 of you on there right now. Fantastic. Brother, how have you found tonight, and what's your message for the platform tonight, brother?
It has been absolutely amazing. And yes, pretty much my name is Trey Sean. 16 years old. I'm an author, Amazon bestselling author, coach, mentor, consultant for an investment bank, trader as well. And it's been absolutely amazing, honestly, just like hearing all the conversations going on, especially about the guy who came on earlier, who was from the, basically just did some amazing stuff, talking about like how, especially like with Thomas Edison, and how it's about ownership, different things like that, as that's something that definitely very poignant and very key.
Yes, that
And
is
it's something that we talk about a lot. Yeah.
fantastic, brother. And you know, just let us know very briefly, brother, 'cause I don't want to keep you back too late. I know you got your beauty sleep there, brother. But what is it that you want to see come out of the of your generation? Especially talk to the Black youth and talk to us as parents. What should we be doing, and what do you want to see from your generation?
So a big one for me is just finances, as that's something that is very, very key, especially like being young men. Like young men, they feel as though they're not confident, so they have nothing to say when they don't have that financial backing as well, as that plays a huge, huge role. Like when you're not able to, as they say, put your money where your mouth is, that's something that just takes a chunk out of your confidence over and over again. And being able to actually make money the right way, because it's another thing to make money, but being able to do so in the right way is something that is just levels upon levels. And that is something that I believe is so important. And being a trader and an investor is something that I just strive to teach, and actually made my trading mastermind group public, and as a way to give back, because not to say everyone's ready or has the finances to get started, because I totally understand that. What we're actually doing is we're getting, obviously we have 7 people in the group, because I'm also known as T7, and 7 is a huge number of importance. So what I'm now doing is I'm having 6 paid people alongside the Trader Mastermind group, and having one young individual between the age of 13 up until young adult. Saying that way we're then giving back at the same time as something that's important, just open the doors to those who aren't quite ready to take that step forward. But I would say that financial education is something that's so important, as it allows you to develop yourself, your finances, of course, but it also teaches you how you're able to develop and utilize the certain teachings in different areas of your life.
Fantastic, brother. Fantastic. So, brother, last question for yourself, brother. I know you run online courses, I believe, is it? Online courses. How can they get in contact with you, brother? If they got a young person that wants to be on your course, because we want to try and get to our young as early as possible. There's nothing better than someone like yourself that can lead them into that path, brother.
Absolutely. So obviously in the chat, we've all dropped our like Instagram's website today, which is lifeaccordingtolashay.com. Pretty much from there, or even our Instagrams, once again in the chat, you'll be able to connect up with us. Obviously, let us know what you're interested in doing. Of course, like we're coach, mentors, my trading mastermind group. So just let us know, as we do cover quite a wide range of things. So if you just DM me, just let me know what it is that you're interested in.
Fantastic, brother. Fantastic. Okay, I've got another Trey Sean. Who's the other Trey Sean? I've got two of you.
Mum. Paolo's there, and Yasmin and Lachey. They're all in.
Okay, I'll go to Lachey. I'm sure I brought up Paolo already, but it's gone. Lachey.
Go on, Yashay. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Mum.
Okay, I've got you on. I've got your own.
Oh, you're on there. You can go next.
It might be Nance.
Oh, it might be Nance. Yeah.
Okay, Lachey, tell us about yourself. What are you doing, sis?
Oh, so hi, I'm the eldest of the Bensami kids. I was sort of the first experiment child going on this amazing journey. So I wrote my very first book that I actually have here with me.
Oh, don't say your screen's gone down. Oh, because it's such a fantastic family. It looks like this.
From the age of 8 or.
Okay, your screen, your thing's gone down, sister. Oh wow.
Oh Shay, maybe if you try turn the video off and seeing if that will help.
All right, we got you. We got you again. Start that again, Lachey.
Of course, thank you. So my name's Lachey Bensami. I'm the eldest of the Bensami kids. I was the experiment child, as we like to joke about as. So I wrote my very first book at the age of 11. I actually have it here with me now. And so that was all about anti-bullying, helping young people to convert their adversity into empowerment. Because a lot of the time there are resources to help people overcome difficult situations.
Yes.
But what do we replace that void with? What do we give them to do next? So Mum really assisted me on this journey. I co-authored this with Trey Sean. Empowered like-minded young people.
Oh, wow. It looks like we maybe have too much internet in your house, Trey Sean. But Trey Sean, you're
I'm
okay.
super passionate, ton of resources. And
okay, sister, I don't know if you know, but your system's going down all the time. I'm going to quickly go to, is it Paolo? Don't tell me his system's gone down too. Oh, wow. All right, it looks like there's an overabundance of internet in your house at the moment because you're cutting out all the time. And you're firing us right now. You're firing us. Okay, sister, just carry on one more time. Try one more time. Carry on, sister.
I'm so sorry about our connection.
No worries.
All that I was saying is that we have a ton of resources available for young people. We have a ton of courses and trainings, tons of different books on different subjects. So if you are a young person or you know a young person that really deserves support to overcome a difficult situation or to turn whatever they're interested in into a business or a project, do reach out. We actually have an upcoming show called Next Gen Lodge where we're wanting to sponsor, empower and fund some young people who have innovative ideas or things that they want to pursue. So keep an eye out for that. You'll be able to find more details on any of our socials. And lastly, I just want to leave off with that I'm hugely passionate about cultural connectivity because we are so much more powerful when we work together. So I work here with different communities and within different cultures. I work heavily with the Korean Cultural Centre here in London for culture exchange, seeing how we can both support each other's communities and where we're from and sharing culture. And sometimes we have so many more similarities than differences. And when we work together, we're so powerful. So yeah, that's all about me. Thank you.
Fantastic, sister. We bow to you, sister. We need all of you back on the show again. I'm going to move to your next brother now. Is it Paolo?
Paolo, are you on? Or you on? Okay. Just jump on quickly now. Sorry.
No worries. This is so inspiring, man. So inspiring.
Yeah,
Brother Paolo, if you can turn your light on. Fantastic. Brother, we've heard.
Sorry about that.
No worries, my king. We've heard from your mother, we heard from your sister, we heard from your brothers. Please let us know what's your speciality in the family?
So my speciality within the family, I'd say I'm kind of the adventurous type. I absolutely love going on adventures, and that's not just adventures, hiking and biking, but that's also internally as well. One of my great beliefs are, the closer you look, the more that you're going to see. It's the same with yourself. And the closer you look with yourself, the more you're going to see. And it's kind of like a quote I saw the other day. If you look at something in a, let's say, a linear way, when you change your perspective, then what you were observing changes as well. So that's kind of what that's kind of what I interpret into my life as well, is that when you see, let's say, you have these behaviors, these habitual behaviors, so these are behaviors that you continue to repeatedly and successfully do every single day, that will eventually shape the possible outcomes of your future. And I believe that your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, whatever you speak, whatever you say, whoever you surround yourself with is the funnel of what. And when we're in the funnel, there are two open parts, right? There's one going in and one going out. It's the same for your life. Whatever you let in is what's going to come out. If you surround yourself with people that are angry, I heard, I can't remember your name, Auntie Adele, she was speaking. There was a girl that kept on cursing in the class, right? And let's say you surround yourself with people who like to curse and they like to use these words. Well, you let that in your funnel and Your funnel is your body. You let that inside of you. And remember, what goes in comes out the other side. When you surround yourself with these types of people, it's going to come out. But the thing with our the kids like myself within our Black communities, they're a funnel as well. And what we are focusing on is what is coming out of the funnel, but we don't focus on what goes in the funnel. So that's what we need to continue on focusing at. And, you know, the police are looking at it, the governments are looking at it, people are criticizing us about it, but other genders are criticizing us about it, you know, other religions are criticizing us about it. Why? Because they're looking at what comes out of the funnel. And just like one of the aunties said before, you know, this is what some of these kids have been conditioned to do. And when you're conditioned to do something, your brain is the best computer in the world. Should I tell you why? Because it took your brain to build one of the smartest computers in the world. It took your brain to build the smallest ounce of technology, which is your phone, that can do so many things. In one click, you can have something ordered to your house. In one click, you can call someone in America. In one click, you can call someone from half across the globe. But what was that created with? That was created with your brain. And so this is what we need to start focusing on, is what we are installing into this youth's minds. We need to start looking at what we're instilling into these communities. And, you know, it's just one little act. If you see a community, maybe someone within the community that you look up to, do something, maybe they might take an eye slowly off a young kid. You know, it may seem as a little thing, but that turns into a big thing. Why? Because they're going to see that as a game. And when you see something as a game, when you play that game, you get better and better and better and better at it. That's why we have the thing called gamers. So what you become is a gamer, but you don't think about it. You become a gamer in someone else's game.
Oh, right? Jedi Master. People calling you the Jedi Master, brother. Come on, King. Brother, how do we get in contact with you, brother? How do we get in contact? Because you're dropping jewels on us tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. I can literally drop my Instagram into the chat now.
You want to follow your family, but you're dropping Jedi tonight.
Thank you so much. And yeah, you can contact me. Drop me a message on Instagram.
Wisdom.
Yeah, you know, it's all about that. You know, you may be a gamer, but like I said, you're playing someone else's game. You're being controlled to play it. There are the different game modes. What is the point of playing a game where they control the levels? Do you understand that? What is the point of playing in someone else's curriculum when they are the one controlling it? There we think we're having fun, but really we are being fooled. It is by the mirror that we are being fooled. Why? Because when you look at the mirror, you see a reflection. But really what we need to do is see through the mirror and see what we need to do. You start creating your own levels, start creating your own courses. Jashawn talked about finances. Start teaching kids about finances, how they can get involved in finances. Because I see all these kids on the street most of the times, and I think to myself, if they knew just a tiny bit of finances at a young age, they could be the next billionaire in the world. They could be the next trillionaire in the world. But most importantly, they could be the next knowledgeable Black person within this world. Because what we're thinking about now in the Black community is how much money you have, or maybe how much fame you have. But it's really about the knowledge that you have that you can instill in others. Thank you so much.
Oh, brothers and sisters, I said today, my people are dying due to lack of knowledge. I have to take that back. I have to take that back. Brothers and sisters, stink up the platform now. I'm not even looking at the messages. I'm not even, no. Tracial, don't laugh. I refuse I refuse to put my socks on tonight because this brother has blown them off. We're going to come to Mummy now to say the last words. But before Mummy says anything, because the family is shown, you know the tree by the fruit it bears. Dr. Mark Richards, are you still with us? Dr. Mark Richards, are you with us still? Brother Dr. Mark Richards, are you with us, King? Brother, what's your last words for us today? Because I want Mummy to have the last words of it.
Absolutely.
Dr. Mark, I don't know what I don't know whether you had a chance to read the messages, brother. You took this platform onto another level tonight, brother. So please, what's your marching orders to us? What is it that you want us to take away from you today?
Well, I mean, all I would say, first of all, is, you know, they say numbers don't lie. I'll go back to what I said at the first point. We want to make sure we're not getting shortchanged in anything we do. And that includes education. So that's the first thing, just change our mindset to sort of make sure that we are monitoring even how we're being assessed. Even that in itself is something that we can do. But more, I suppose more generally, had I not crashed near the end, I had one more slide, which I won't try and pull up, but it basically was Marcus Garvey quote. And he said,
Damn!
And I think it pretty much sums up a lot of what we've been talking about today, the reaffirming message, which is, if you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life.
Come on.
Okay, so I think the message has been reverberating throughout this whole evening, that the message is, yes, we know there are issues, but the more we do for self and the more we believe and have the confidence to do for self, then the more we are going to be able to get out of this situation. And just on the technical side, one little thing I'd probably want to leave you with is, we started off with STEM, and, you know, as I said, science, technology, engineering, and maths. And I mentioned how arts and creativity has to be part of you know, the conversation when it comes to the community. And if you put an A in there, it becomes STEAM. Yeah, and you may have heard of STEAM. But of course, if you really reduce steam and lower the temperature right down, you will end up with ICE. And ICE is a nice, neat acronym for what I think we need as a community overall, which is innovation, creativity, and enterprise. And if we have that, then I think there's nothing that can defeat us and stop us from moving forward.
Brother Mark, Dr. Mark Richards, one of the greatest physicists here in the UK, Europe, and I'll challenge him to be in any room with our American brothers and sisters too. Brother Mark, Dr. Mark is also, and I never said this before, Dr. Mark is also a trustee of the Westside Young Leaders Academy. This is one of our trustees, okay? One of the top physicists. As you saw him, he opened doors for us and our young children at Imperial College, and he's got some great initiatives down the road. Dr. Mark, we thank you so much, man. You've blown up that chat room after my king. And Dr. Mark, what did you think about these young boys and girls, the next generation? You saw Lashia? Is it Lashia? Yep. You saw
Lachey. It's okay,
Lachey. You've heard the wisdom of Paolo. You've heard Trey Sean, who speaks your language already, brother.
Absolutely. No, I mean, this is exactly the reason why, you know, for all these years, people like yourself and, you know, and myself and others, we do what we do because we see the genius in our community, you know, and it manifests in so many different ways. And this is another example. I mean, the young brother who was just talking, Paolo, when he started talking about the way how you know, your perspective changes from, you know, depending on where you see it, he's basically talking about special relativity. I mean, that's Einstein's special relativity. You need to, I mean, we have a budding theoretical physicist here, for example. So the connections are there. You know, the genius is within our community, but we are almost made to, you know, I'm not going to take too much time, very quickly. I mean, sometimes they say there's a thing called the flea. A flea can jump the highest for its height out of all insects. So if it was the size of a human, it could jump over the Empire State Building and that sort of thing, because the flea can jump the highest. But if you put it in a tin, it will jump out the tin. But if you put the lid on the tin, the flea will jump and then it will hit its head maybe, and then eventually it will stop jumping. But the interesting thing is, what happens when you take the lid off? The flea stops jumping. It forgets how high it can jump. And we need to shift our mindset and remind ourselves, go back to our, to our ancestors, to remind us, of how high we really can jump.
Oh,
and then nothing
Mark.
can stop us.
Oh, Mark, we need you back on the platform, Mark. The way you're breaking down. Oh, brother, we need this knowledge, brother Mark. You're gonna be on the platform again and again and
Absolutely.
again. By the grace of Allah.
Well, I'm always available for the cause and for whatever, because I know that you know how it is. I must be blessed because I'm on this platform, and I've seen, I tune into this platform, maybe not every week, but I certainly tune in, and I know that the caliber of people you have, you have to be blessed. This has to be some kind of higher power works going on, and so I'm all for it, absolutely, and we need it as a community.
Pure love, brother Mark.
Blessings.
I'm proud to you, my king. One of the top greatest scientists here in the UK. Sabrina, we're going to give you the last 2 minutes, brother. Sister, you got the last words of tonight because you've been the mother of the show tonight, sister. Please, what's your last message? We've got mothers, we've got fathers, and we've got youth all on the platform at one time. What's your message to us, sister?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I want to just salute Mark. Thank you so much for what you shared and everyone that's been here today. So one of my messages is that I was left all alone. If you were there for the start when I was sharing my journey, it doesn't matter where you start. Often they try to bury you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. If we take heed of what's around us and we look for the intricate parts of the rules of the game, sometimes it's not so much about what we are, where we started, it's about who we know and what we're willing to do. If we go out and start creating relationships, the most important thing for our children is relationships, not what you know, not who you know, but who knows you. People have been able to open the doors for my children because they have relational collateral. It will surpass anything in the world. Last year, they took away the GCSEs. They did the same this year. What else do we have to fall back on? And one of the things I think is really important is don't be scared to put your hands up and say where you are. If I was ashamed of where I was, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be able to speak to people. So no matter where you are, get rid of the shame. It's okay to be embarrassed for a moment or two, but don't stay there for a lifetime, okay? We need to be honest about where we are so we can get deeply profound solutions to our problems. We know that there's a lot going on within our communities, and the lady that spoke about her domestic abuse situation, this is rampant. Our men need healing. It's not just about leaving and moving on. Some of our men are doing so much in our community, but we need more. We need men to raise men. We need men to heal, cry, and hold our men, and we need to hold them. One of the reasons why I think we're not achieving what we're achieving, our community is displaced. I know that there are people doing what they need to do, but realistically, on the average, we have mothers raising children by themselves. They are being beaten up morning, day, and night, and they are doing what they can, and they're having to get up and keep going. They don't have to continue to walk through fire if they have their village. And it doesn't mean you can solve everyone's problems, but I think collectively, anything is possible. With regards to our children, they can achieve so much. It doesn't matter if your child's been excluded, no matter where they are, reach out to us. Let's have a discussion around what's possible for them. I had to learn how to go under, over, and around. Why? Because sometimes when you're on your own, you don't know any better. These kids have been more so my mentors as opposed to what I felt I was mentoring them. Often the gift of becoming a parent, you are stewarding a spirit. They don't need to be guided. They already know. Don't get in their way. Please, parents, don't get in their way. Let's support them. The reason my children speak with confidence is because I allow them to teach me at home. I say sorry when I make mistakes. I walk with them. I talk to them. We need to awaken. So just very briefly, that's it. Our contact details are in the chat. I don't know if Yasmin can have 30 seconds. She's the only one that didn't share anything.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me, Yasmin.
Okay. Go on, Yas.
Come on, Yasmin. Forgive us.
Hi everybody, so I'm Yasmin, I'm 13, I'm an author, public speaker and a mentor, and I've recently just published 2 new books. And one that I've recently published is called My First Day Transitioning from Girlhood to Womanhood, which basically teaches girls about their cycle and how basically their body's going to change. And one of my second books that I recently published is called The Choice is Yours When I Chose to Be in the Choice, which talks about the choices that we make in the world today. And I've been reading a couple of principles a day for people on Instagram Live. So my purpose in life, I really believe, is to teach people about the choices that they have in the world today. And I just took 2 screenshots of a motivational app that I got. And I have 2 quotes I want to share. So the first one was, when you discover your self-worth, you will lose interest in anyone who doesn't see it. So that was the first one. And the second one is, don't change yourself so that other people will like you, because yourself is the right people and they will love you for who you are. So just knowing that you don't have to buy expensive things just to show off and say, oh, hey, I've got expensive things, won't you like me now? It's about learning to like basically who you are and not having anything attached. And although people really like having materialistic stuff, like women like to have a lot of handbags, shoes, Chanel, like all those big brands, I'm not trying to shadow ban any of those brands, but although they might seem really nice, but you don't have to go out in life and to try and find fake friends who only like you for what you have, because if you lose all of those things, there won't be any friends. So just knowing that in the world, that people only like people because of their authentic self, not because of what they have. And if people do, they're not friends, they are, people who you need to go. So
Sister, no, you know what, this is not right. I can't believe so much talent in one house. I bet you as soon as you open the door, books just fall out of you from the, because everyone's got their own books. Everyone's just got books.
You know what I love to say, I have to say this, Paolo made a very powerful statement on Sunday. He said that children are, Paolo, what did you say? Children are the kings of happiness, the masters of happiness and storytelling.
No, I was saying that children are basically the masters of fun. If you look into recent studies, just anything scientific, if you speak to a child that is 5 years old, under 7 years old and under, they will automatically tell you a story. This story consists of made up things. They might even say the dragon came and ate their apple. They might even say that, some true stories as well. But, when you look at kids from 7 and under, they are the most amazing, the most consistent, and just the most amazing, again, storytellers of all time. Because, most people believe that when you die, you come into a new life. And that is something that I believe in as well. And I believe that they are so close to coming into this world that they must have gathered, most of the wisdom from their past lives. And I absolutely love that, because these are natural storytellers. They're able to tell stories so effortlessly. And it's basically something that they like to do. It's something that they love to do. Storytelling is their thing. And kids are definitely masters of fun.
Oh, come on, brothers and sisters. Don't give up on our next generation. Sister, we have to finish now, but hold on. Before anyone goes, bring your daughter back again. Bring that same daughter back again. Where is she? Tell her to come quick. Just one quick thing. Quick, sister. Sister.
Makes me laugh.
Sister, you are so beautiful.
Thank you.
You are so how old did you say you was again, sister?
13.
And to speak the way you're speaking, sister, I want you to have the very last word, sister. Who, apart from your mother, who is your inspiration? We want to know what inspires a 13-year-old woman like you to speak the way you're speaking. Apart from mummy, who inspires you to think the way you're thinking, sis?
I think people around the world that really need help. So, for example, there might be a little girl in some place where she just needs to hear those words of encouragement. Because I know like some people are thinking of like, especially like young teenagers thinking of taking their own lives. So I guess me speaking words of inspiration to people that I don't really know, them feeling a sense of them feeling special. I guess that's really the biggest inspiration and the biggest upbringing for me, to know that I inspired one person to not take their own life. So
Sister, there's over 400 of us on this platform, and let you know now, sister, when you go to bed tonight, please rest assured that you've inspired every single one of us, the whole of your family, Sister Lady Adele, Sister Jarita, Brother Mark Richards, all of the guests on here tonight have just been absolutely fantastic. Brothers and sisters, make some noise for that family again. The Ben Salmi family, brothers and sisters. Don't forget, On Sunday, you could be with your brother Andrew Mohammed on Sunday. Yeah, literally on the Black Books webinar. We've got so much coming up. Don't forget on Friday, we've got They Live. Yeah, They Live on Friday. Popcorn Friday is back. Don't forget next week, Tuesday, is going to be another blockbuster. Woo, can't even speak now. The Science of I Am. Sabrina, this is down for you, sister. You're going to, the way you're going to take this apart, the science of I Am. We're going to go back into some deep self-realization. And especially your last daughter that spoke, and Paolo, they're on the same line as this. Yeah, we've got to deal with this and understand who we are.